Chapter 4911. Hearing Lin Fei's words, the Wanshan sect leader let out a sigh of relief. He wasn't afraid of this minister anymore. Instead, he was curious about why this guy had the token of the Tang Emperor. This thing was different from other things. It wasn't something that just anyone could hold in their hands. As long as it didn't affect his business, he wouldn't take it seriously. Although he was a little unhappy that this guy came in without anyone knowing, he represented the Tang Emperor. The Tang Emperor had a bad temper. He already had a lot of ideas. This was especially so for the four great sects. Every day that the great Tang Emperor existed was a significant influence on them, because the power of the sects was constantly being suppressed. The power of the Tang Emperor was getting stronger and stronger. In this way, as time went on, the four sects would probably become the workers of the Tang Emperor. Of course, they didn't want to be workers, so they naturally had some ideas. "Sir, what are you here for? Just let us know. As long as we can do it, we will do it for you immediately." The sect leader of Wanshan sect spoke up immediately. For him, this was really a small matter. Maybe the Tang Emperor was just passing by. It was just a simple matter. Actually, it's not a big deal. It's just a small matter. For example, this guy is quite interesting. How are you going to explain it, Wanshan sect leader? The four sects are in contact with the great demon. Do you want to overthrow the whole Tang Empire? Lin Fei's voice suddenly turned cold, and everyone felt their hearts tremble. He subconsciously took a step back. They couldn't stand still at all. The great demon instantly took out two scimitars and attacked Lin Fei's face like flowing light. "I knew you didn't come with good intentions. If you want to deal with me, just say it. I can kill 8 or 10 of you by myself." The great demon's sudden attack shocked even the Myriad Mountain sect leader who was next to him. He didn't know why this guy, who represented the Tang Emperor, came here and dared to attack him. Could it be that the Tang Emperor had sensed something? If that was the case, then it would really be troublesome. He clenched his teeth and shouted, "Everyone attack! Chop this guy into minced meat. We must not let today's news leak out." At first, he thought it was something serious, but now he realized that this guy was definitely not looking for him, but looking for trouble. The Tang Emperor was going to attack them, so this was not a good thing. After the great demon made his move, the others followed suit. Compared to the others, the most terrifying was the great demon. His saber technique was the fastest, and his speed was also the fastest. Up until now, Lin Fei had not seen any traces of the other party's attack. But no matter what, the other party's saber technique was fast, and it left more than a dozen marks on Lin Fei's body. Of course, these traces were all fleeting, and there was no trace of danger at all. There was a faint smile on Lin Fei's face. "You dare to behave atrociously in the great Tang Empire? You really don't know how powerful the experts of the great Tang Empire are." Lin Fei also snorted coldly. The surrounding people couldn't stand still at all, because the power of the void exploded and sent them flying. None of them could sit still. All of them started to bleed, and the amount of blood they lost wasn't an ordinary amount. There was no way they could fight at all. However, to the leader of Wanshan sect, his heart was shaken. Why is there such a powerful helper? Even the great demon was the same. His 2 sabers couldn't do anything to him, and this was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Since when did a human expert have such great strength? More importantly, he still couldn't see through it, and that was the most unacceptable thing. Lin Fei attacked this guy without stopping at all. He didn't give him any chance, and with one punch he was sent flying. Then, with another punch, he was sent flying once more. 3 punches in a row instantly blew up his body. Once the great demon died, the 2 weapons fell to the ground. Lin Fei kept them casually. He didn't forget that these weapons were worth a lot of money. After saying that, he looked at Wanshan sect leader. Lin Fei also kept them casually. He didn't forget that these weapons were worth a lot of money. Of course, Lin Fei knew that such magic weapons were valuable. He couldn't just leave them here and let Wan Shan's sect take advantage of them. In the blink of an eye, the great demon was killed by Lin Fei, but it was definitely a huge shock to Wan Shan's sect leader, not to mention the people around him. They all lost their fighting capacity. Myriad Mountain's sect master had never seen such a ferocious guy. He also knew that the great Tang Emperor had the intention to kill him. Is that why he sent such an expert here? The royal family is really rich and powerful. Wan Shan's sect leader couldn't find such information at all. Not to mention, he was such an expert. Ancestor, help. If you don't do something, Wan Shan's sect will be gone. The Emperor of Tang is going to destroy our Wan Shan sect. Wan Shan's sect leader quickly fled. He didn't dare to stay any longer. He knew that if he didn't call out the ancestor, the whole Wan Shan sect would be completely finished. No one knew better than him what the Emperor of Tang was thinking this time. As soon as Wan Shan sect leader's voice faded away, a force blasted over. As soon as he blocked it, he directly felt the penetrating force. It was used on his body. Whoosh! He was directly turned into ashes. Lin Fei couldn't be bothered to waste his breath on such a person. However, after killing the sect master, Lin Fei felt that something was amiss. He had come here to look for faith power. Before he could even find it, he had killed the sect master. He shook his head gently. But for the people of Wan Shan's sect leader, they were all frightened and uneasy. They all knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Lin Fei didn't pay attention to them at all. He just waved his hand. There was a rumbling sound. The power rolled over like a torrent. This was the real physical power. With a wave of his hand, the power could topple mountains and overturn seas, which was unbearable. Even if you had treasures, it was useless. You could only resist part of the power, but the rest would directly hit your body. How dare you? How dare you make trouble in Wan Shan sect? I'll be the first to kill you. A ferocious aura soared into the sky, making all the disciples of the Wan Shan sect tremble. Is the ancestor going to come out? Chapter 49:12. The power of the voice was really shocking, and it made all the disciples of the Myriad Mountains sect kneel on the ground. They immediately knew that the patriarch had come out of seclusion, but they didn't know why the patriarch would come out of seclusion. A figure rose into the sky. Who else could it be but Lin Fei? He had never denied that a place like the Myriad Mountains sect definitely had the strength of the patriarch, and he was exceptionally strong. Lin Fei saw an old figure. The aura of the invincible god of war burst out of his body. But when he checked again, he found that the other party was just a fake invincible god of war. He was not the real invincible god of war. He could only be considered a half-step invincible god of war. Even so, his power was still quite strong. The other party slashed over with a knife, and the void was split open. The knife went deep into the void. Lin Fei also punched with a smile, directly hitting the other party's knife light. There was a loud rumbling sound. A big hole was blasted open in the void. Lin Fei laughed. The strength of the god of war is quite good, but it's useless for you to come out. The Myriad Mountains sect colluded with the Devil Clan and tried to overthrow the entire Great Tang Empire. If you don't want to die, kneel on the ground. Otherwise, I'll completely destroy your Myriad Mountains sect later. Lin Fei snorted coldly, and his voice spread through the entire Myriad Mountain sect. The expressions of all the disciples of the Myriad Mountains sect changed when they heard this. They were trembling with fear. The sect had colluded with the Devil Clan. If it were something else, they would not have worried. But colluding with the Devil Clan was different. It was a crime punishable by death. No wonder the Emperor of Great Tang had sent people here. The patriarch even snorted coldly. Don't listen to this guy's nonsense. He's here to defame us on purpose. I'll take him down and torture him. He will definitely tell us everything clearly and honestly. The patriarch of the Myriad Mountains sect came over with a whoosh. Streaks of saber light swept over like a heavenly net. Everyone closed their eyes subconsciously. Lin Fei smiled faintly, and in an instant a cold light appeared. All the knife lights were frozen in an instant. Although it was only for a short moment, Lin Fei had already arrived in front of the patriarch of Myriad Mountain sect. The torrent was like a mountain, directly crushing over. It doesn't matter even if you're our ancestor. You're just a half-step invincible god of war. Besides, your chi and blood are very weak. You can't fight for a long time. I don't know how long you can last. The crushing power of the torrent was indeed very terrifying. Lin Fei immediately launched a close-range attack. A punch, a kick, every part of his body became his strongest attack, forcing the old ancestor to retreat continuously. He couldn't even use his saber light, let alone his treasures. There was a loud bang. The great ancestor hit the forbidden area, which was the forbidden area of the Myriad Mountain sect. No disciple was allowed to enter. But now, the great ancestor directly hit it. Lin Fei had also landed not too far away from the old ancestor. He smiled faintly. If you continue to struggle, I'll send you on your way with a punch next time. Your physical body won't be able to take it. The patriarch of the Myriad Mountains sect also climbed out, staggering. No one knew better than him how powerful the other party was. He was a half-step, invincible god of war, but the other party's strength could crush him. Could it be that the other party was a real, invincible god of war? He had never heard of an invincible god of war in the emperor of the Tang Empire. If he had known that, he wouldn't have let the people in the sect have too many ideas. He wouldn't have contacted the Devil Clan. He just wanted to catch the emperor of the Tang Empire off guard. But now, it seemed that the emperor of the Tang Empire had caught them off guard. You're indeed very capable. But no matter how capable you are you really an invincible god of war? Watch me, devil transformation. The patriarch of the Myriad Mountains sect snorted coldly. He was instantly enveloped by a demonic aura. Then his skin split open. A bloody man walked out looking quite evil. This was the patriarch of the Myriad Mountains sect. He had just performed an unconventional technique, and his strength had suddenly skyrocketed. Before this, he was still a half-step invincible god of war. But now he had become a real invincible god of war. His chi and blood had also become extremely strong. This was definitely the result of him performing a powerful secret technique. Lin Fei had never heard of devil transformation, but he knew that this guy was indeed very powerful at the moment. Another beam of broadsword light came. I'd like to see how you can hurt me this time. I'll chop you into pieces with my broadsword. The patriarch of Myriad Mountains sect seemed to be very angry. The blade light kept coming at him, and even the buildings behind him were in bad luck, turning into ruins one after another. Not to mention the disciples of the Myriad Mountains sect, who were crushed into pieces by the broadsword. The disciples of the Myriad Mountains sect were so scared that they fled in a hurry. Run. If you don't run, you'll die. The patriarch has really gone crazy. The senior elders were the same. They didn't dare to stay here at all. If they continued to stay, they would only die. They didn't see the patriarch's broadsword technique. It was very powerful and extremely overbearing. Wherever he passed, there were wounds and corpses everywhere. All of these could be used to describe the overbearing power of the patriarch's broadsword technique. Lin Fei was moving left and right, and he was hit several times. Although his opponent's broadsword technique was powerful, its power was average, even though his opponent had become an invincible god of war. But in Lin Fei's eyes, his opponent was really too weak. It was no different from an invincible god of war killing a 9 stars god of war. Aren't you ashamed to think that you can crush me with such strength? It seems that you haven't seen true strength. Then I'll give you a punch. If you can withstand this punch, you'll naturally live. If you can't, you'll naturally die. I'm such a real person. Lin Fei laughed out loud. Suddenly, his fist pierced through the air. The punch was like a small ball of light, but when it approached the patriarch of the Myriad Mountain sect, it turned into a large torrent and directly rushed toward him. The patriarch of the Myriad Mountain sect was caught off guard. Even his pupils were wide open, as if he had just had an incredible dream. Just like that, cracks appeared on his body. Then, with a whoosh, he turned into pieces all over the sky. The whole Myriad Mountains sect fell silent in an instant. It was the same even for those who were fleeing. The powerful patriarch of the Myriad Mountains sect was killed just like that. In Lin Fei's eyes, he looked over coldly. And his voice rang in everyone's ears. Everyone stand still. Whoever moves will die. Chapter 49:13. This devil was quite strong, but in Lin Fei's eyes it was nothing. He was killed in the blink of an eye, and then he obtained the power of the devil. Who knew that the power of the devil was golden? This made Lin Fei a little overjoyed. Sure enough, today's harvest was quite good. The people of the Myriad Mountains sect did not dare to move at all. Soon, some elders took the initiative to stand on Lin Fei's side. They said whatever they knew and even began to manage the entire Myriad Mountains sect. Lin Fei was not very interested in this. However, he found traces of some devils in the high level. These devils thought that Lin Fei could not find them, but they were all killed by Lin Fei one by one. After killing them, Lin Fei went straight to the treasure vault to find out if there was any power of faith. He was lucky that there was indeed the power of faith. As the emperor of the Tang Empire had said, there was still a lot of power of faith in their territory, but had been taken away by others. The 4 major sects had the most power of faith. Now that he had only destroyed the Myriad Mountain sect, it was naturally different. Lin Fei didn't stand on ceremony at all and took all the faith power away. After taking away all the spoils of war, the emperor of the Tang Empire really sent someone to take over the Wangshan sect. Lin Fei was not surprised at all. They just came to take the power of faith. It was that simple. After leaving the Myriad Mountain sect, Lin Fei went straight to the next sect. When he came to another sect, Lin Fei found that a huge formation had been activated. If there was no surprise, they should have received the news. Don't think that the 4 major sects got along with each other peacefully. In fact, there were some spies in each sect. This time, Lin Fei took action in a big way, so they naturally knew about it. That was why the scene happened. When Lin Fei came over, the sect of the Heavenly Palace had already activated the formation. As soon as the formation was unfolded, the buildings inside were vaguely visible. From the outside, Lin Fei could feel that the formation was quite powerful. The Heavenly Palace was ready. Your Excellency, you have come all the way here. Do you really not intend to give the Heavenly Palace a way out? We've never had any thoughts about the great Tang Empire. Don't drag us into the same boat as the Myriad Mountain sect. When Lin Fei came over, he immediately flew out. The figure flew out. Inside the formation, he spoke to Lin Fei. Lin Fei knew who it was at first glance. The palace master of the Heavenly Palace, Qin Meng. It was a middle-aged man with a calm demeanor. He was a 9-star war god. The princess had received the news long ago. Almost all the high-level members of Myriad Mountain sect were killed, and even the great devils who had cooperated with them were killed. He also realized that the great Tang Emperor was prepared to make a move. Therefore, he immediately activated the formation. I'm just here to see what's going on in your Heavenly Palace. As for whether I'll take action or not, that depends on your situation. Lin Fei smiled faintly. Just now, he did not sense the aura of a great demon. As for whether there was a hidden one, he did not know. The only thing you can do now is to open the formation and let me in to check. Otherwise, I'll take action directly. You can try to see if I have the ability to do that. Of course. Chen Meng knew that the mysterious man in front of him was very terrifying. Until now, they had not received any news that the great Tang Empire had any contact with this guy. A mysterious guy like him was the one who made people feel the most dangerous. He had no idea where the great Tang Emperor got it from. Of course, Chen Meng would not open the formation. Of course, he had his reasons. This time, the traces of the great demon had reappeared. Of course, everyone wanted to get out of the control of the great Tang Emperor. After all, the power of the sects had been suppressed year by year. The power of the royal family was getting stronger and stronger, which was not a good thing. Now the Myriad Mountain sect could not withstand it anymore and was beaten back. Now he came to the heavenly palace. How could he let him in? I'm sorry, but I can't do that. All the disciples in our heavenly palace are cultivating in seclusion. Let's do it another day. It's impossible for our heavenly palace to have any contact with the great demon. I can swear to God. Chen Meng said seriously. Anyway, he did not want to let this young guy in. If he let this guy in, there would not be many people in the heavenly palace who could stop him. The patriarch of the Myriad Mountain sect had been killed, not to mention the great demon of Christmas. He had also performed the legendary devil change, but the result was the same. Lin Fei wasn't surprised in the slightest. The 4 sects were like brothers. If something happened here, the other sects would definitely know. It would be strange if they let him in. Lin Fei smiled and shook his head. Looks like you're stubborn. Fine, I'll just make a move. I gave you a chance, but you didn't know how to take it. As for me, I never give people a second chance, so you won't have the chance to regret it. Lin Fei smiled and shook his head. Chen Meng took a deep breath. This guy is too arrogant. Do you really think you can break the formation of the heavenly palace? Just as this thought came to his mind, Chen Meng found that his whole body was sent flying. Cracks spread all over his body in an instant, and then he felt a sharp pain. Only then did he find that his chest had been pierced by a punch, and the mysterious man had come in. The whole formation was safe and sound, and there was no movement. Chen Meng's mind was blank. He came in. He came in. How many times have I told you that you don't have a chance to regret? Now that I'm in, I'll do it myself. It seems that you are also in contact with the devil. I'm afraid that you are ready to rely on them. Lin Fei smiled faintly. He had already sensed the aura of the devil inside. Many of them were great demons. It seemed that the 4 sects wanted to get rid of the control of the emperor of the Tang dynasty. This time, they might have cooperated with each other to catch the emperor by surprise. Everyone has come out. We can't hide it anymore. We have to kill this guy in any case. The emperor of the Tang dynasty doesn't want to give us a way out. Let's do it. I'd like to see how the emperor of the Tang dynasty can stop the invasion of the great demons. The higher-ups of the heavenly palace all flew out. In an instant, a large formation enveloped them. However, as soon as the formation enveloped them, the higher-ups of the heavenly palace all exploded. A torrent of energy directly crushed over. This was the benefit of Lin Fei's strong physical body. He directly crushed them violently no matter who they were. As for the formation, it didn't affect Lin Fei at all. With a mind projection, he instantly got rid of it. Why bother? Why don't you just let me in to check? Chapter 49:14. No one in the heavenly palace could stop Lin Fei at all. Once Lin Fei entered, no one would be a match for him in close combat. In fact, they had not even gotten close to him yet. The power of his physical body kept rushing over like a torrent. If they could stop him once, they couldn't stop him a second or a third time. It was just that simple. After half a day, the heavenly palace was taken down by Lin Fei. He gained another large amount of power of faith. It was much more powerful than the previous Wanshan sect. By the time Lin Fei arrived at the 3rd sect, he realized that the 3rd sect was empty. Lin Fei was a little dumbfounded. Wasn't this news way too well informed? He had come all the way here, so they should at least welcome him. Why do they run so fast? If you run away, where can I find the power of faith? Lin Fei frowned slightly. He seemed to understand where these guys had run to. Maybe they had run to the last sect. The last of the 4 sects, the Xiantian sect. This Xiantian sect was more domineering because it was the most powerful of the 4 sections. Even the emperor of the Tang Empire seemed to be quite afraid of this Xiantian sect. He didn't expect that this time this sect would run away with all the power of the sect. If there was no accident, they must have run to the Xiantian sect. Only the power of the Xiantian sect could stop him. Of course, this was just what they thought. In Lin Fei's view, even if the Xiantian sect made the emperor of the Tang Empire afraid, it was still the same in front of him. In front of him, it was the same thing, as long as they brought the power of faith over. Then, it would be easy for them to take care of it himself. Lin Fei ran all the way to the Xiantian sect. In fact, when he came near the Xiantian sect, Lin Fei felt a strong aura. There were indeed many experts. It was the most powerful of the 4 sections. Before he got close to the Xiantian sect, he saw streams of light coming from the void. These streams of light seemed to be hidden in the void. They were waiting for Lin Fei to take the initiative to come to them. As soon as these streams of light appeared, they erupted with an extremely powerful might. Lin Fei charged through them as if there was nothing in front of him. The streams of light collapsed one after another as he arrived outside the Black Heaven Gate. The Black Heaven Gate also activated a formation, but this formation was much more powerful than the previous one. Especially after Lin Fei took a look, he knew that this should be some powerful, ancient, ominous array. Only in this way could these formations be filled with a fierce and ancient aura. The Black Heaven sect probably didn't use such a powerful formation. Sir, you've come all the way here. Could it be that you wish to suppress our Black Heaven sect? A silhouette appeared, but it was only an illusory image. It was not a real body. It seemed that the mysterious Heaven sect was also somewhat afraid of him. He was afraid that he would catch them off guard again. Even his main body didn't dare to come over, so he could only use this phantom. This shadow was an old man in his 70s, but he was extremely powerful. Even though he was only a shadow, he was still at the War God realm. Lin Fei smiled. Don't you understand why I've come all the way here? Are you going to follow the Heavenly Palace? If that's the case, then I won't be polite. Although your formations are coming one after another, they don't seem to exist in my eyes. Lin Fei wasn't in a hurry to make a move at this time. He wanted to see what the Black Heaven sect had up their sleeves. The higher-ups of the Black Heaven sect also saw the young man outside. They couldn't recognize where this guy came from at all. As soon as he appeared, he showed his terrifying strength. The Myriad Mountain sect, the Heavenly Palace, and the Divine Knife sect that had just arrived. It could be said that 3 of the 4 major sects in the Tang Empire had been eliminated, and only the Black Heaven sect was left. No matter how they looked at it, the Black Heaven sect looked a little pitiful. However, the guy outside was very mysterious and people couldn't see through him. This was what made people feel the most anxious and uneasy. Even this old man was the same. Don't go too far, kid. Even the emperor of the Tang Empire wouldn't dare to talk to us like this. The old man from the Mysterious Heaven sect was truly enraged. If it wasn't for the fact that he was afraid of the other party's mysterious methods, he would have made a move long ago. After all, they had clearly seen what happened at the Heavenly Palace. Don't think that they couldn't receive news. In fact, they were quite well informed. Until now, they still hadn't figured out how to break this move. Layer after layer of formations were activated just like that. The Emperor of the Tang Empire is the Emperor of the Tang Empire, and I am me. I'm different from him. I'm quite interested in your Black Heaven sect. Either let me in or I'll make a move. Lin Fei smiled. If I really make a move, your Black Heaven sect will be the same. Also, I'll tell the higher-ups of the Black Heaven sect that they can live if they abandon the dark and seek the light. Lin Fei's voice wasn't very loud, but it sounded very loud to everyone. They all knew some news, especially the higher-ups. Their expressions were a little strange. When the old man heard this, his expression became even uglier. Today I'll say it again. Leave the Black Heaven sect now, and forget about what happened today. Otherwise, once we find out your identity, even if you're from a sect or a family, you'll be doomed. The old man also knew how to speak ruthlessly. He could more or less guess that this young man was an expert invited from another continent. Such a person was indeed quite troublesome, but as long as they found some clues, this guy would definitely be dead. It seems that this is all you have. Then I'll come in and play with you. Let's see what kind of powerful methods your Black Heaven sect has. The Black Heaven sect was a little different from what Lin Fei had imagined. They were much stronger. Others couldn't sense the hidden auras, but Lin Fei could clearly sense that there were 18 of them. Then come in and see who's unlucky. Our Black Heaven sect isn't a place that anyone can step on. It's the same even if the Emperor of the Tang Empire comes, let alone you. In any case, the old man's thoughts were very simple. No matter what, he wouldn't go out. If he had the ability, then come in. He was quite confident in the Black Heaven sect's formation. Then I'll do as you wish. I'll take a good look at what kind of moves the Black Heaven sect has. How dare you say such words to me? With a thought, Lin Fei directly entered the Black Heaven sect. The old man's shadow exploded with a bang. It was replaced by Lin Fei's figure. Chapter 49:15. Just like that, Lin Fei entered the mysterious Heaven sect. For him, entering such a place really didn't pose any pressure, nor was there any difficulty. It really wasn't an ordinary kind of easy task. However, for the experts of the mysterious Heaven sect, this was not a good thing. It was a bad thing. They finally understood why the two sects had suffered such a crushing defeat when such a huge array formation had failed to stop Lin Fei. This guy was really mysterious. He might even be someone who had studied political and legal machines. At this moment, a large bell directly shrouded him. It turned out that someone had activated the treasure. The large bell became bigger and bigger, directly trapping Lin Fei inside. Following that, several figures flew out, their faces filled with complacency. They were all the higher-ups of the mysterious Heaven sect. They had just joined forces to activate one of the 3 great treasures of the mysterious Heaven sect, the mysterious Heaven Bell. This thing was really powerful. Once trapped by this thing, one would basically not be able to get out and would be directly refined into a pool of blood. This kid has been trapped by us. Hurry up and refine him. Refine him into a pool of blood first. This way, we can finally solve a big problem. When the time comes, we can settle the score with the great Tang Emperor. He actually dared to harm our mysterious Heaven sect. These people sat down one after another and began to activate the bell. They had to refine this mysterious guy in a short period of time. As long as they refined this guy, there would no longer be any danger or difficulty. This was one of the 3 great treasures of the mysterious Heaven sect. They really did not believe that this mysterious person would be able to withstand it. Even the sect master of the palace in the distance had a smile on his face. This mysterious guy was really bold. Did he really think that he would be safe and sound after entering? He was definitely thinking too much. It seems like we overestimated this guy. I thought he was very strong, but now it seems like he's nothing special. Once the mysterious Heaven Bell is activated, it will refine him. It won't take long. At most, it will take the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn. There were many higher-ups and elders in the hall, and all of them had smiles on their faces. Of course, apart from them, there was another sect leader and elder here. They were quite surprised. Of course. He was also glad that he had come to the right place. If he had not seen that mysterious person, he would have been trapped and turned into a pool of blood. It was truly a delightful matter. Who asked this fellow to be so lethal? They were too afraid and had no choice but to leave the sect. Now the problem was finally solved. Time passed minute by minute. All of them activated this treasure with all their might. He released a powerful killer move. In the blink of an eye, an incense's time had passed. It wasn't long, but it wasn't short either. However, it was more than enough for a treasure. He unleashed his power to the limit. They really didn't believe that this guy could survive in such a situation. If he didn't die in such a situation, then this person was definitely not easy to deal with. He was definitely the greatest danger. They had a lot of experience in this regard. Everyone, take a look and see if this fellow has been refined into a pool of blood. They didn't know how long it had been since the Xiantian sect had used this treasure. Now, they finally had the chance to use it. Naturally, they wanted to see what kind of ability this guy had to be able to make the Tang Emperor pay so much attention to him. If there was no accident, he would definitely become a pool of blood. No one could withstand the power of the Xiantian bell. Crack, crack. Just as they were about to make their move, cracks began to spread from the surface of the Xiantian bell. In the blink of an eye, they covered the entire Xiantian bell. Suddenly, everyone's expression changed. The situation is not good. This guy is fine. Damn it, how can he be fine? How could he endure it? Could it be that his physical body was already this powerful? This is bad. Our treasure is going to be damaged. In a short period of time, more and more cracks appeared on the surface. Even if they wanted to suppress it, they couldn't. With a crash, all the fragments flew out. The surrounding higher-ups and elders were directly hit. They were all blasted away. Once they were injured, their injuries were very tragic. They couldn't bear it at all. Who asked these fragments to contain a great deal of power? Following which, a figure walked out. He smiled faintly. I thought that the treasure of the Xiantian sect was very powerful, but it's just SOO. It can't even be used as a warm-up exercise for me. It's quite embarrassing that I destroyed one of your treasures. Just like that, Lin Fei walked toward the main hall. During this period, the higher-ups and elders didn't dare to make a move anymore. They were full of fear. Who told this guy to be completely fine under the attack of this treasure? This was the first time they had encountered such a situation. Naturally, they didn't dare to come forward. They were afraid that they would be at a disadvantage and die. This guy is indeed quite capable. Even the Xiantian bell of our Xiantian sect can't do anything to him. What about this? At this moment, a stream of light attacked. A beam of light shot over. This beam of light grew larger and larger until it covered the entire field of vision. Everyone could feel the aura of death. Sword of the Gods. A great expert flew out. This move was the legendary Sword of the Gods. Many huge figures floated in the sky, emitting terrifying might that gathered in the sword light. This sword slashed directly on Lin Fei's body. It was an unbearable strike. Cracks instantly spread all over Lin Fei's body. I didn't expect the Xiantian sect to be so capable. You actually have such a powerful weapon. It can even crack my physical body. This should be an invincible weapon. Lin Fei looked at Zhou Xin's crack and smiled. It was as if these cracks were just small injuries. However, the higher-ups and elders of the Xiantian sect weren't calm at all. This guy can even withstand the power of the Sword of the Gods. How strong is his physical body? What they used just now was indeed a treasure. It was the Sword of the Gods. This Sword of the Gods was a powerful weapon that could kill an invincible god of war. Although they couldn't unleash its full power, they could kill ordinary peak 9 stars with ease. Even a half-step invincible god of war was the same. But now they realized how powerful this guy in front of them was. Even 2 supreme treasures couldn't do anything to him. Did they really have to use the last supreme treasure? What other tricks do you have? Hurry up and use them. Otherwise, I'm going to make a move. My first move will be a killer move. Chapter 49:16. 2 treasures in a row had no effect on Lin Fei. This caused the people of the Mysterious Heaven sect to be shocked. This person was indeed not easy to deal with. 2 treasures were useless against him. Could it be that they had to use the last treasure? If that was the case, then they really didn't dare to take the risk. Lin Fei had already arrived in front of the palace. He looked at the old man. He was the sect master of the Mysterious Heaven sect. My purpose for coming here is actually quite simple. I just want to see if there are any problems with the Mysterious Heaven sect. It seems like there are quite a few problems with the Mysterious Heaven sect. Lin Fei smiled faintly. He didn't attack. After obtaining 2 treasures in a row, he obviously knew that the Mysterious Heaven sect should have another treasure. With 3 great treasures in hand, they were indeed quite lethal. Any Peak 9-star war god would be at a disadvantage if they came here. If they didn't do well, they might even die here. Unfortunately, they met him this time. It could only be said that the Mysterious Heaven sect's luck wasn't too good. The Mysterious Heaven sect's sect master's gaze turned cold. He was indeed quite fearful of this young man in front of him. He didn't expect him to be so strong. Most importantly, his physical body was strong. Just now, there were large white marks and cracks on his body, but in the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. His recovery ability was too strong. People like this were really too difficult to deal with, unless he used his top treasure. Although they hadn't fought much just now, he knew that this person was very strong. I know that you came under the orders of the great Tang Emperor. I don't know how you can retreat. I think that if the Mysterious Heaven sect really wants to fight to the death with you, you definitely won't be able to gain any benefits. I heard that you took away the power of faith from the other 2 sections. Our Mysterious Heaven sect doesn't have much, but we have a lot of power of faith. I can give all of it to you. Judging from the situation just now, the Mysterious Heaven sect's sect master obviously knew what choice to make. Making a move was the worst-case scenario. Otherwise, he would have made a move long ago. He wouldn't have said such words. Lin Fei smiled. Of course. He knew that the news of him taking away the power of faith couldn't be hidden. Someone would eventually find out. Don't underestimate the power of these sections. The 4 great sects were no joke. Now that the Black Heaven sect master had taken the initiative to say it, it was exactly what Lin Fei wanted. Of course, he had no interest in annihilating the Black Heaven sect. He was only interested in the power of faith. Although the Tang Emperor had sent him here, whether or not Lin Fei wanted to destroy the Shantian sect was up to Lin Fei. At this time, if he could get all the benefits in advance, Lin Fei wouldn't mind. He smiled. It seems that your Mysterious Heaven sect has quite the connections. Huh. You know my little interest so quickly. That's right. I'm very interested in the power of faith. If you can give me enough power of faith, I naturally won't do anything to your Mysterious Heaven sect. I'm a trustworthy person, but the power of faith I want has to satisfy me. I can give your Mysterious Heaven sect 3 days to prepare. Lin Fei's gaze landed on the Mysterious Heaven sect master. In the blink of an eye, he teleported away from the Black Heaven gate. He didn't give the Mysterious Heaven sect master any time to think. The higher-ups of the Mysterious Heaven sect in the hall suddenly felt like they had lost track of him. They couldn't see how he had left at all. This made their hearts sink. It seemed that this young fellow was indeed very powerful, much more powerful than they had imagined. They still wanted to capture him. Now, it was a matter of whether or not he would attack. The Mysterious Heaven sect master had been staring at him. When the other party left, he didn't notice anything. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. This meant that the other party had mastered spatial techniques. This caused his expression to darken slightly. It would have been fine if it was anything else, but spatial techniques were the most troublesome thing. In other words, the Mysterious Heaven sect couldn't stop this fellow at all. The fact that the other party could come and go as he pleased was the most difficult thing to accept. Collect all the power of faith within 3 days. As long as there is power of faith, hand it over. The Mysterious Heaven sect master gave an order. It wasn't worth it to fight with this fellow. If the other party could take the initiative to retreat, that would be for the best. However, the power of faith wasn't something important. It was very useless. It would be for the best if they could use it to make the young man retreat. They could more or less guess that this young man was most likely from the outside. As for why he had reached an agreement with the great Tang Emperor, they didn't know. One thing was for sure. This young man definitely wasn't one of the great Tang Emperor's men. He wasn't someone that the great Tang Emperor could casually command. This was also the only chance for the mysterious Heaven sect. Naturally, they weren't willing to start a fight. If they could use the power of faith to solve this matter, that would be for the best. They had to solve the problem in front of them first. As for the great Tang Emperor, the mysterious Heaven sect naturally had to seek an explanation. The mysterious Heaven sect immediately set out to search for the power of faith. The mysterious Heaven sect already had a lot of power of faith, but when the young man left, their hearts tightened. They were afraid that ordinary power of faith wouldn't be able to satisfy this fellow. Lin Fei had indeed left. It wasn't very far away, and he immediately hid himself. Since he had let out the word, he naturally believed that the mysterious Heaven sect master would definitely collect the power of faith. He had saved himself a lot of trouble. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Lin Fei once again came to the mysterious Heaven sect. This time he easily entered. Even the formation of the mysterious Heaven sect was the same. If you're not satisfied with what I want, then I'll just take action today. The experts of the mysterious Heaven sect should be mentally prepared. After all, if I make a move, most of you will die, even the higher-ups and elders. Lin Fei said indifferently. The mysterious Heaven sect master also came out. He couldn't eat or sleep in peace for the past 3 days. He kept thinking about how to solve this matter, but after thinking about it, this fellow was too mysterious. It would definitely be difficult to deal with him. The mysterious Heaven sect will also keep our word. We've activated our ability and collected all the power of faith. I think you should be satisfied. The mysterious Heaven sect master waved his hand. A ring flew over, but before it could reach Lin Fei, it was blasted away by Lin Fei's fist. The power was domineering, but the things inside were intact. Balls of power of faith. Chapter 49:17. This time the mysterious Heaven sect really took out a lot of faith power. It could be said that they had collected a lot of faith power in these 3 days. There was nothing left out. This was the ability of the mysterious Heaven sect. Even some of the sects below them had begun to collect faith power. They wanted to solve this matter first. Now it was up to this guy to take the faith power and leave. If he left, it would be for the best. To be honest, it was not a good thing for the mysterious Heaven sect to have such a guy here. Who knew how many experts like this the Tang Emperor had invited? It would be best not to get rid of one and have another come. They all had a thought in their hearts that there would not be a second person like this once he left. The Tang Emperor did not have that ability. By now, Lin Fei had already collected all the power of faith. You don't say. The power of faith here is very rich. He did not know where the mysterious Heaven sect got it from. To Lin Fei, this was not a problem at all. As long as there was the power of faith, it would be enough. Compared to before, it was indeed a lot richer. With this faith power, he could probably increase by a few levels. Lin Fei was also very satisfied. This is the faith power that our mysterious Heaven sect has done our best to obtain. If we continue, we won't be able to do anything. Most of the faith power in the entire Jiangnan area has been harvested by us. The mysterious Heaven sect master was expressionless, but in his heart he was more or less afraid of the other party. If that wasn't the case, he wouldn't have gone to collect the power of faith. Although it was very easy to collect faith power, it still took time to operate. Another 3 days passed, and everyone was very busy. It's barely passable. At least you did your best. I am a man of my word. If I take your faith power, then I take it. I won't do anything to you anymore. Of course, Lin Fei liked things like this. He also knew that it was impossible for the mysterious Heaven sect to hand over the faith power again. He teleported and left. There was no need for him to fight to the death with the mysterious Heaven sect. He more or less knew about the situation. The Mysterious Heavens sect still had a lot of tricks up their sleeves. Although they had used 2 treasures, they definitely still had the most powerful one. Even if Lin Fei's current physical body was very strong, who knew if he had mastered a super-killing weapon? Therefore, it was better not to go overboard with some things. In any case, there was no conflict between Lin Fei and the Mysterious Heaven sect. Therefore, Lin Fei left just like that. After obtaining the power of faith, he teleported a few times and arrived at a mountain. Only Lin Fei could do something like this. Even if he wanted to follow them, he wouldn't be able to. He knew that the Tang Emperor must have arranged for someone to follow them, but he was probably dumbfounded. Lin Fei was too lazy to say anything more. He opened up a cave and began to cultivate. The great Tang Emperor also received the news immediately. 2 of the 4 major sects had been dealt with, and the other one had fled to the Mysterious Heaven sect. He originally thought that Lin Mu would be able to deal with the Mysterious Heaven sect, but he never expected that Lin Mu would leave after obtaining the power of faith. There was a certain gap from what he had expected. In fact, the one he wanted Lin Mu to deal with the most was the Mysterious Heaven sect. The Mysterious Heaven sect had a deep foundation and many killing moves, so it was best to let Lin Mu deal with them. Everything was normal before, but he never expected that this guy would give up for the power of faith. Now, with the power of faith, he disappeared without a trace. The Tang Emperor obviously knew that Lin Mu wasn't easy to talk to. It was already quite difficult for him to make a move. Unfortunately, he was just a little bit away. Who told him to not have the power of faith? No matter what, the Tang Emperor had already made a move against the Mysterious Heaven sect. Therefore, he began to use his power without saying a word. He had to suppress the Mysterious Heaven sect first in order to prevent them from making any big movements. After Lin Fei left, the Tang Emperor personally went up to fight. A war began just like that. Of course, this was only a small-scale war and wasn't considered a big deal in the Tang Empire. Lin Fei didn't pay much attention to it. He had already transformed the power of faith. He had improved again. Fortunately, his infinite god body had a breakthrough. This time he didn't break through many levels, just 3. He had already reached level 63. Level 63 made Lin Fei feel quite satisfied. He knew that it would be more difficult in the future, so he was quite satisfied to be able to obtain so much power of faith from the Mysterious Heaven sect. Lin Fei planned to turn his attention to the Great Qin Empire and the Great Zhao Empire. These 2 large empires should have a lot of power of faith. When Lin Fei used his great teleportation, he found that a war had broken out in the Tang Empire. The Mysterious Heaven sect and the royal family, led by the Tang Emperor, had launched an intense battle. The war was still very intense, but Lin Fei didn't plan on making a move. To him, this had nothing to do with him. He was just using the power of faith to do things. Who didn't know what the great Tang Emperor was thinking? Therefore, Lin Fei directly left without leaving any trace. Just like that, Lin Fei stepped into the territory of the Great Zhao Empire. The Great Zhao Empire was a little different from the Tang Empire. Their strength was very well integrated. The Great Tang Empire was really lacking compared to this. Lin Fei could feel a strong aura gathering at the border. He didn't need to guess to know that they were preparing to attack. They didn't make a move at this time because they were waiting to see if both sides would suffer. It would be best if both sides suffered heavy losses. This also gave Lin Fei an opportunity. In a small sect, Lin Fei directly took down the sect master. After some interrogation, he learned about the situation in the Great Zhao Empire. The Great Zhao Empire was indeed very different from the Tang Empire. The power inside was basically integrated. Lin Fei just wanted to know a general idea so that he could be prepared to make a move. Looks like I can make a move on the Great Beginning sect. The most powerful sect in the Great Zhao Empire was the Great Beginning sect. This sect had a very strong background and had been passed down for thousands of years. Even the royal family of the Great Zhao Empire came from the Great Beginning sect. So Lin Fei was prepared to go to the Great Beginning sect. He wanted to harvest some power of faith. He hoped that this trip wouldn't be in vain. After obtaining the power of faith, he could basically complete the mission if he went to the Great Qin Empire. Chapter 49:18. The Great Beginning sect was located in a mountain range. This mountain range was a large forest that gathered the spirit energy of heaven and earth. Not just any force could establish a sect here. Only the Great Beginning sect could. Here, everyone had to come down and walk. No one could fly in the sky. Once they got close, they would be killed by the sect's methods. Over time, this place became the holy land of the Great Zhao Empire. Anyone who wanted to cultivate wanted to enter the Great Beginning sect, because only by entering the Great Beginning sect could they stand out. And today, a figure arrived on the mountain path outside the Great Beginning sect. This was a ladder that went all the way up, winding like a dragon, all the way to the depths. Only by passing the stone ladder could one enter the Great Beginning sect. Of course, this ladder wasn't that easy to walk on. The person who could come here was naturally none other than Lin Fei. He was prepared to go to the Great Beginning sect to look around. There was no power of faith, so he walked all the way here. And this time, Lin Fei wasn't in a hurry, he just took his time. He also knew that these spirit arrays would not be of any use to him. But this Great Beginning sect had powerful killing moves. Now that his physical body had increased by 3 levels, it could be said to be very strong. Every time he increased his physical body's defense, it would increase by several times. This kind of improvement speed could be said to be invincible. So this time, coming to the Great Beginning sect could be said to be a game for Lin Fei. A slow and leisurely game. Perhaps it was because Lin Fei came at a good time today. There were many people on the way to the Great Beginning sect, preparing to take him as their master. Lin Fei wasn't too interested in this. This time he was prepared to go straight to the point and beat the Great Beginning sect into submission in one go. As long as he obtained the power of faith, everything else could be put aside. After that, he arrived in front of the Great Beginning sect's mountain gate. There were many experts guarding here, so of course they could see the faintly discernible formation. These people quickly noticed Lin Fei's arrival. Because Lin Fei was dressed in a black robe, he walked over at a leisurely pace. His aura was very different. Naturally, they noticed it. "Who are you? If you have a problem, you better tell me honestly." One figure after another instantly appeared around Lin Fei. These people were all experts. Although they weren't at the war god realm, the combination of their treasures and the like was still very strong. Lin Fei waved his hand, and with a crash, all of them flew out and fell to the ground, unable to move. Lin Fei walked in just like that. "Hurry up and send the signal. Someone has broken into the Taichu sect." These people immediately sent out the signal. Since the establishment of the Taichu sect, no one had dared to break into it. Who would have thought that someone would dare to do so today? He really thought too highly of himself. As soon as the signal was sent, many experts of the Great Beginning sect saw it. After being stunned for a moment, they rushed to the mountain gate because the location of the signal seemed to be there. Since when did someone break into the Taichu sect? This was not the way to break into the Taichu sect. People usually came in a straight line. There were only a few people who came on foot like this. It was completely unheard of. Soon, everyone saw a figure walking over at a leisurely pace. Everywhere he passed, figures were sent flying. None of them could withstand a single blow. Lin Fei didn't walk very quickly, but everyone felt a great pressure. When did such an expert come? Another figure came out, and a spear was shot out. However, the opponent also moved slightly and grabbed the spear. The opponent's strength was actually unable to advance any further. With a boom, a wave of energy flowed through the spear and directly into the opponent's body. "I'm just here to be a guest. Do you all want to die? If you do, come at me. I won't be polite, and I'll be more than happy to send you on your way." Lin Fei's indifferent voice spread out, causing the expressions of many experts of the great beginning sect to change again. They couldn't see this guy's strength because the one who just died was a 3-star war god. A 3-star war god wasn't much. They could more or less see that this young man was very strong. At the very least, he was a 4-star war god or a 5-star war god. The more it was like this, the more pressure they felt. Therefore, they didn't make a move. Instead, treasures came crashing down from afar. However, when those treasures smashed into the sky above Lin Fei, they were blocked by some sort of power. They were simply useless. Lin Fei waved his hand, and these treasures flew out. Kacha! Kacha! Kacha sounds could be heard as cracks appeared on the surface of the treasure. It made their hearts bleed. Lin Fei continued forward. Not long after, he arrived at the great hall of the great beginning sect. Taichu Temple. Countless experts had already gathered here. All of them looked at the young man who came up. They were a little surprised. When did an expert come? They didn't recognize him. Most importantly, they couldn't see his cultivation level. It was as if there was a layer of mystery around him. People like this were the most terrifying. Therefore, no one was in a hurry to make a move. It was easy to die if one was rash. This person had withstood so many attacks along the way that he was definitely not an ordinary person. Who are you? How dare you come to the Great Beginning Sect? Don't you know that the Great Beginning Sect is the sacred land of the Great Zhao Empire? A figure walked out. When this figure walked out, the experts outside all became extremely respectful. He was the great elder of the Great Beginning Sect. Don't you know who I am? Then your intelligence agency is too weak. My purpose for coming here is very simple. I just hope that the Great Beginning Sect can give me a gift. It's that simple. The great elder frowned. He really didn't know who this guy was. However, his words were extremely arrogant. He actually came to the Great Beginning Sect to ask for a gift. He really couldn't believe it. Who do you think you are? How dare you come to the Great Beginning Sect to ask for a gift? You're seeking death. Kneel right now. If you don't kneel, it'll be useless even if you have 10 lives later. It's always been us bullying others. No one has ever dared to come to our Great Beginning Sect to cause trouble. You're the only one. Kneel. The figures snorted coldly and gathered together. It was quite a scene. Lin Fei stomped his foot on the ground. All of you, shut up. There was a loud rumbling sound. Waves of power exploded in their bodies. Bang, 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 bang. Beautiful fireworks of blood bloomed just like that. In the blink of an eye, countless experts outside the great hall died. Even the great elder's face darkened in an instant. Chapter 49:19. The remaining experts of the Great Beginning Sect all had a drastic change in expression as they subconsciously retreated. In that instant, countless experts died. They were unable to withstand the opponent's simple methods at all, and their physical bodies directly exploded. It was the same for them. Fortunately, they were wearing powerful defensive treasured armors that were able to withstand the attack. When they looked at the other party, they were filled with fear. Such a fellow was actually so terrifying and fierce. He didn't give their Great Beginning Sect any face at all. Even the imperial family had to be polite in front of the Taichu sect. But now, this young man had actually done something that made them exceptionally angry. You actually killed so many experts of our Great Beginning Sect. You're dead, you're dead. Men, hurry up and capture him. We can't let him leave the Taichu sect. The great elder's face had already turned black. He didn't expect this guy to really dare to make a move. He killed so many of the higher-ups in one move, and it was even in the time it took for a single move. They couldn't take it at all. Lin Fei also smiled faintly. I came to ask for something, but you refused to give it to me. It's not like it's anything good. It's useless to keep it anyway. Look at it now. So many experts have died, and it'll take another few decades to train them again. The great elder was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This was a group of elite elders of the Great Beginning Sect. In the future, they would all become great experts. Even if there was only 1 in 10 of them, it would still be enough to make the Great Beginning Sect incomparably powerful. But now they were all wiped out. The remaining ones were all lucky enough not to be killed. If the news of the Great Beginning Sect were to spread, everyone would probably laugh out loud. A dignified holy land of the Great Beginning Sect had actually been killed by a young man, so many of their elders. How could they accept this? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The remaining silhouettes all rushed forward. These figures rushed up. Lin Fei also moved. Bang, 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 bang. Wherever it passed, figures would be smashed to the ground, unable to get up at all. In an instant, Lin Fei had completely destroyed their physical bodies. Lin Fei glanced at the great elder indifferently. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not good at other things, but I'm pretty strong. The great elder's pupils contracted, and he subconsciously took a step back. This guy's physical strength was actually so strong. Unarmed, these high-level elders were unable to move at all. In the blink of an eye, he was sent flying, and there wasn't even a scratch on his body. This fleshly body made him understand what despair was. Why would such a powerful body come here? Even though the disciples of their sects had cultivated quite a number of skills, they couldn't be compared to this person in front of them at all. The other party's physical body was too strong. It was like an iron bastion. It was really difficult to deal with him. I'll say it again. Obediently hand over the power of faith, and I'll leave now. Otherwise, your Great Beginning Sect's vitality will be greatly damaged. The great elder was already very regretful. If he knew that this guy was so capable, he would have satisfied the other party's conditions earlier. There wouldn't have been such a large number of casualties. Wasn't it just some power of faith? This thing was not considered a good thing, and it was quite a useless existence. Now that he couldn't do it, if he were to hand over the power of faith, their Great Beginning Sect would really suffer a huge loss. If word of this got out, everyone would laugh at the Great Beginning Sect. A dignified big force had lost so many people, and they had to hand over the power of faith. This was completely bowing their heads. After some publicity, one could imagine what the Great Beginning Sect would become. It was definitely not a good thing. It's absolutely impossible. Don't even think about it. Even if there is power of faith, I won't hand it over to you. My Great Beginning Sect will not rest until you are dead. We will chase you to the ends of the earth. The great elder had already thrown caution to the wind and directly attacked. Rays of incomparably bright divine light broke through the void and reached the depths of the void. All the divine light instantly turned into a mouthful of divine light. The sword slashed down, and the void was instantly cut open. Even Lin Fei trembled slightly. A simple white mark was left on his body. This was the very terrifying sword that the other party had just unleashed. It could ignore the void and kill anything in an instant. If it wasn't for Lin Fei's strong physical body, this sword would have really injured him. But now, it was no different from scratching an itch. It seems that your Great Beginning Sect still has a lot of treasures to be able to erupt with such power. The power just now has reached the level of an invincible god of war. The Great Elder is indeed the Great Elder. Lin Fei also laughed. No one could better understand the power of the sword just now than him. The power of the famous, invincible god of war. The power that erupted came from the divine light. As for the Great Elder himself, he wasn't an invincible god of war. Even so, it was still shocking. The Great Elder's expression suddenly changed. No one knew the power better than he did. Even he himself could feel the power contained within. But now, the other party could actually withstand it. He seemed to understand what this meant. No one knew better than the Great Elder that the guy in front of him was most likely an invincible god of war. You are an invincible god of war. The Great Elder's voice trembled as he spoke. One must know that the strength of an invincible god of war was extremely terrifying. especially when the other party was an invincible god of war with his physical body. This was really unimaginable. It was definitely the most terrifying of all. No wonder he dared to come to the great beginning sect alone. Lin Fei smiled. Is it that important to be an invincible god of war? I'm just here to ask if you have it now. If you don't, then I'll take it myself. If anything happens then, it's none of my business. I can give you the power of faith, but you have to take it and leave. Otherwise, our great beginning sect will fight to the death. Another figure walked out. This was a very calm voice. One could imagine that it was the great beginning sect's sect master. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. They were planning to lower their heads, but when they remembered that this guy was an invincible god of war, their faces were filled with bitterness and helplessness. Perhaps this was the best choice. Chapter 49:20. The person who came out was indeed the sect master of the great beginning sect. He didn't come out because he had something to do inside. To him, the great beginning sect was the top force in the entire great Zhao Empire. No other force could compete with it. Even the royal family had to be careful and courteous. Everyone knew that the emperor of the royal family had to be chosen through them. It could be said that the entire great Zhao Empire was under the control of the great beginning sect. He never expected that someone would cause trouble in the great beginning sect. He killed many of the higher-ups in one move, and it was in the blink of an eye. The great beginning sect suffered heavy casualties. He saw it from beginning to end, so he could naturally tell. This black-robed guy was very strong. It was very likely that he had already reached the level of an invincible god of war. Moreover, he had become an invincible god of war with his physical body. It was completely different from what they had imagined. It was very dangerous and very dangerous. If they were not careful, they would be killed. Moreover, it was extremely difficult to kill such a person. They were very clear about this. So, the sect master of the great beginning sect came out on his own. He had to solve the problem in front of him first. How could they solve a problem like this? It was nothing more than letting him get what he wanted and leave. If they had known that he only wanted the power of faith, they would have definitely given it to him. After all, it was not easy to offend such an invincible god of war. Although the great beginning sect also had such an ancestor, the ancestor would never appear unless it was a matter of life and death. Moreover, this young, invincible god of war had a physical body realm. Ordinary treasures would be useless against him. Didn't you see that the sword didn't even leave a scratch on him? This kind of defensive ability was already considered top-notch. If such a person was allowed to continue to cause trouble, the entire great beginning sect would basically be done for. A ring flew over. Lin Fei didn't take the ring. Instead, he punched it away. The power of faith that filled the sky flew out. With a wave of his hand, a great mystic ability took away the power of faith. In the blink of an eye, it had turned into honor points. As expected of the sect master, you're much more straightforward. I'm a straightforward person. Since I said I want faith power, I'll definitely do it. By the way, I see that you're related to the great Qin Empire, right? Please help me inform them that I'm going to visit the great Qin Empire. Lin Fei left the moment he got his hands on those items. He had no intention of making a move at all. Even the absolute beginning sect master was unable to grasp the other party's traces. He did leave a small trick in the ring. After killing so many people in the absolute beginning sect, he would definitely have to pay a price. He never thought that the other party would directly destroy the ring with a single punch. The ring was very strong, but it was broken just like that. It also made him realize that this guy was much more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. Are we going to let him leave just like that? The great elder had been holding back his anger, but he was the one who had attacked him. There was no chance of victory. An invincible god of war. An invincible god of war had appeared in Jiangnan, and they didn't even know about it. Logically speaking, they should have information about any invincible god of war. The sudden appearance of this fellow was simply too mysterious. The absolute beginning sect master said calmly, If I'm not mistaken, this guy has just caused a lot of trouble in the Great Tang Empire. Even the Black Heaven sect suffered a loss. This is what I just learned. Hearing this, the great elder's expression changed again. The Black Heaven sect was not inferior to the absolute beginning sect. He didn't expect to suffer a loss at the hands of this guy. He can't possibly want to make faith power too. Does he want to use faith power to become a god? How is that possible? Regardless of whether he is or not, the absolute beginning sect has already remembered him. The bigger the trouble he causes, the better. When the time comes, we don't need to do anything. Sooner or later, someone will deal with him. The situation in Jiangnan is not something that an invincible god of war can interfere with. The great elder seemed to understand what he meant. The waters in Jiangnan were much deeper than he had imagined. An invincible god of war would not be able to run amok in the water so easily. There is a civil war in the Great Tang Empire. The Black Heaven sect and the Great Tang Emperor have opened up. We can also make a move and kill them all. Just like that, Lin Fei left the absolute beginning sect. He was not worried that the other party could catch up to him. As for the ring, he directly exploded it. He could feel that there was a small trick in the ring. A person like the absolute beginning sect master would definitely have his own thoughts. He would definitely take revenge, and it was only natural that he would leave a certain place on the ring. However, all of this was useless against Lin Fei. He did not even want the ring, let alone anything else. He was probably thinking about how to deal with him now. Lin Fei went to a quiet place. He began to improve. This time his luck was not bad. He directly went from 63 to 66. 66th layer. Yi Xiaolong was quite satisfied. His physical body had become much stronger. Of course, the speed was much slower. In Lin Fei's opinion, it would not be so easy to break through to 100. It would take a long time to accumulate. Of course, if he could take down the first level of the great world of the gods, he might have no problem breaking through to the 80th level. He could even reach the 90th level. If he was lucky, he might even reach the 100th level. Lin Fei rested for a while before heading to the Great Qin Empire. The Great Qin Empire definitely had faith power. Lin Fei felt that it would be a pity if he didn't take the power of faith with him. Pung, 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 pung. Pillars instantly rose into the air, forming a huge formation. It completely enveloped this part of the void. It no longer existed. Two silhouettes walked out. They stared at Lin Fei from the left and right. "Sir, you are really bold. At your realm, you actually came out to cause destruction. Do you know the consequences?" Lin Fei squinted his eyes. They were actually two invincible war gods. This was the first time Lin Fei saw invincible war gods. However, they were both pseudo-invincible war gods. Just like that, the two of them were exceptionally strong. Ordinary people could not deal with them. "So you're saying that I have touched something that I shouldn't have. So you came out to cause trouble for me, right?" Lin Fei laughed. He knew that the waters in Jiangnan were deep, but he did not expect it to be this deep. Two pseudo-invincible war gods were here. They even set up a formation. Chapter 49-21. The appearance of the two pseudo-invincible war gods was indeed quite surprising to Lin Fei. He also knew about the Jiangnan region, which meant that the great world of the gods was more complicated than he had imagined. Previously, Lin Fei did not think that there would be many invincible war gods. He did not expect that in the blink of an eye, two pseudo-invincible war gods would appear. Now, they had even used a formation to trap him. In Lin Fei's opinion, this array formation was nothing much. He was just curious. These two had come to find him, but they could not possibly kill him. The theoretical possibility was very low. Since the two of you have used such methods, I don't think it's just a few simple words. If you have something to say, just say it. I'm all ears. These two invincible war gods were indeed fake. Even though they were pseudo-invincible war gods, their combat abilities were still very strong. At the very least, Peak 9-star war gods were not their match. This was the difference. You know your place. That's great. I'm here to ask you to come with us. The Invincible Alliance wants to meet you. Invincible Alliance? Lin Fei had never heard of this force. It seemed like it was a powerful force hidden in the great world of the gods. You wouldn't know if I told you. The Invincible Alliance was formed by the invincible war gods of the great world of the gods. This time you broke the rules in the Jiangnan region, so we came here. Since you are an invincible war god, we would have killed you long ago. The two of them had very cold expressions. It was obvious that they were very confident in their own abilities. Even though the two of them had yet to test whether or not this guy in front of them was an invincible war god, they knew that apart from a peak 9-star warrior, only an invincible war god would be able to easily kill a war god. Just look at the mysterious Heaven sect. They were already extremely strong, but they suffered a great loss when they encountered Lin Fei. They did not believe that he was not an invincible war god. Of course, just like them, he was a half-step invincible war god. Although he was only a half-step invincible war god, he was still very strong. Therefore, the two of them were quite confident. What you need to do now is to come with us. It's that simple. If you don't come with us, then we'll take action directly. Once the two of us take action, you won't have a good ending. Lin Fei smiled as well. He was quite interested in the Invincible Alliance. He did not expect there to be such a huge organization. There was a loud rumble. Just as Lin Fei was about to speak, a figure rushed out, and the surrounding array began to crack. Just like that, a figure walked in and smiled at the two of them. Your Invincible Alliance is pretty fast. You found this guy so quickly, but he can't go with you. It was a middle-aged man with a mustache. He was all smiles. He carried a huge saber on his back. As soon as this person appeared, the expressions of the two half-step invincible war gods changed slightly. What's the meaning of this? Are you trying to steal someone from our Invincible Alliance? The middle-aged man with a mustache smiled. Your Invincible Alliance isn't the only one with invincible war gods in this god's land. Our Fengyun Tower has one too. Lin Fei was surprised. He did not expect the Invincible Alliance to come, and now Fengyun Tower. If he was right, both of them were top forces in the gods' great world. It seemed that the strength of both forces were about the same. Now that the people from the Invincible Alliance came to find him, they were going to rope him in. That was why they sent out two half-step invincible war gods. It seemed that he had become a hot commodity all of a sudden. This made Lin Fei even more aware of one thing. It seemed that it was not easy to become a half-step invincible war god or an invincible war god. Just look at the current situation. Greetings, brother. I'm Gu Yin from Fengyun Tower. The Invincible Alliance isn't so kind as to invite you over. They're probably planning to use force to refine you into their puppet because you've ruined their plans. Gu Yin also spoke immediately. Hearing this, the two men's expressions changed even more. Don't listen to this guy's nonsense. Our Invincible Alliance would never do such things. On the contrary, Fengyun Tower would refine people into puppets from time to time and keep them by their side. If you go with them, you will definitely not have a good ending. The two of them immediately splashed a large amount of dirty water over. Of course, Lin Fei could tell which of the two people was speaking the truth and which was lying. At the very least, Gu Yun of Wind Cloud Tower had more or less given Lin Fei a pretty good impression. On the other hand, the Invincible Alliance had left Lin Fei with a domineering and arrogant attitude. In any case, you can't go with him today. Otherwise, the two of us will bring you over ourselves. Just as the two half-step invincible war gods from the Invincible Alliance spoke, they saw streaks of light flying over. It turned out that Gu Yun had made a move. His broadsword instantly turned into streaks of saber light. I've long wanted to experience your skills. It's rare to have such an opportunity today. Don't stand on ceremony and experience it well. Gu Yin seemed to be a violent person and immediately made a move. The two half-step invincible war gods also made their moves. For a moment, the two of them were locked in a fierce battle. Lin Fei could also see that Gu Yun's strength was actually higher than the two of them. Although he was not a true invincible war god, he was only a half-step invincible war god. However, his strength was much stronger than before. Gu Yun, don't be too proud of yourself for snatching this guy. When the time comes, our invincible alliance will settle the score with you sooner or later. The two of them threw a sentence and immediately left. The surrounding formation collapsed in an instant. Now that it's safe, the two of them can only talk tough. They don't dare to do anything. If Fengyan Tower collapsed so easily, it wouldn't be Fengyan Tower. It wouldn't be one of the four major factions in the great world of gods. Gu Yun also came over and said with a smile, "It seems like the waters of the great world of gods are deeper than I thought. There was Invincible Alliance, and now there's Fengyan Tower. Tell me, which one should I believe?" Lin Fei also said unhurriedly. Gu Yun also smiled. "It depends on your own feelings. If you think Invincible Alliance is good, then you can look for them. If Fengyan Tower is good, then look for Fengyan Tower. It's that simple." Lin Fei laughed heartily. "Then I'll follow you to Fengyan Tower. At the same time, I can understand how deep the waters are." Chapter 49:22. Lin Fei knew long ago that the gods' great world wasn't simple. Everything was as he had imagined. An invincible war god appeared. No, they treated themselves as half-step invincible war gods. This realm could not be considered very high, but in the gods' great event, they were considered the top. Apart from the true invincible war gods, there were only a few of them. If there were no surprises, these four powers should be the top powers that controlled the entire gods' great world. But they didn't have any reputation. Perhaps only the true top-notch powerhouses would know. And this expert was probably only half-step invincible war gods had the right to know. This possibility was very high, because Lin Fei hadn't heard of the Invincible Alliance or Fengyan Tower from other information. No matter which one it was, they were both very mysterious. There was no news at all. One could imagine what the situation was like. From here, Lin Fei could even think of places further away. This is the headquarters of our Fengyan Tower on a mountain peak. Gu Yun opened a space point. Lin Fei followed Gu Yun in. A spatial point like this was quite surprising to Lin Fei. He didn't expect there to be a small grotto heaven world in the space point. As soon as he entered, Lin Fei sensed the auras of many people. He wasn't afraid that Gu Yun would have any thoughts about him. Don't forget about the great karma technique. That was a really good thing. He didn't sense any killing intent from Gu Yun. There was no karma connection. This way, Lin Fei was more at ease. He wouldn't cause any trouble. This Gu Yun was probably trying to rope him in. It wasn't easy to produce a half-step invincible war god. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. One by one, human figures flew out. In the blink of an eye, 8 figures flew out. These 8 figures were all half-step invincible war gods. When they came over, their gazes landed on Lin Fei. "Someone else is here. He looks unfamiliar. I don't know him at all. This person has a dangerous aura. He should be a half-step invincible war god." They were all sizing up Lin Fei. Gu Yun smiled and said, "This is fellow Taoist Lin Mu, whom I just snatched from the hands of the Invincible Alliance." When Gu Yun said this, the others were slightly startled. They immediately burst into laughter, their faces full of pride and elation. Taoist Gu is still the best. He made the Invincible Alliance suffer a loss again. Our Fengyan Tower's strength is going to increase by a lot again. Last time, our Fengyan Tower found a half-step invincible god of war, but they beat us to it. Now we finally got it back. Welcome to our Fengyan Tower, fellow Taoist Lin. You will find that coming to our Fengyan Tower is the best choice. Lin Fei didn't say anything. More and more people were listening to them. One could imagine how much they hated the Invincible Alliance. I'm just here to watch the fun. I haven't decided which side to live on yet. Also, I'm a newbie now, I don't know anything. Lin Fei laughed. They weren't surprised at all, as if they had encountered this situation many times before. They all laughed. These people are all half-step, invincible gods of war. They are all part of our Fengyan Tower. Lin Fei and Gu Yun left them. After walking around the place for a while, they finally arrived at a large hall. This hall was called the Fengyan Hall. Once he arrived, Lin Fei felt a strong aura. This was a genuine, invincible god of war. Lin Fei couldn't be more familiar with this aura, because he himself was an invincible god of war, but he was different from the others. It was also the first time that Lin Fei met such an invincible god of war. He understood how big the gap between him and the other party was. If he were to fight against such an invincible god of war, he could defeat at least 7 or 8 of them. Who asked Lin Fei to not find a real invincible god of war before? And this time he finally found one. He could use it as a comparison. Even if he didn't fight, Lin Fei had an idea. As expected, his infinite god physique was different after reaching the 66th level. Welcome, Daoist Lin, to our Fengyan Tower. How do you feel? This was a middle-aged man with the aura of a scholar. Just by standing there casually, one wouldn't be able to tell that this was the leader of Fengyan Tower. It was very simple and very ordinary. No one would suspect that he was a scholar. This is my first time here as well. It's much more interesting than I thought. The great world of gods is also much more powerful than I thought. The middle-aged scholar chuckled and gestured for Lin Fei to take a seat next to him. Gu Yun tactfully left. When he came back, he had already brought a pot of tea. He followed him out. Just like that, only Lin Fei and the leader were left in the hall. I would like to invite Daoist Lin to become a part of our Fengyan Tower. The leader of Fengyan Tower smiled as he took out a ring and placed it in front of Lin Fei. This is a small token of our appreciation. Although it isn't much, it should be of some use to you. Lin Fei didn't look at the ring, but he already knew what was inside. That was the power of faith. It was much denser than the power of faith that he had plundered previously. He knew that the 4 great powers had more accumulation than him. Look, even the power of faith that they gave him was so dense. I don't know much about the great world of gods. I only know that there are 3 levels, and this is only one of them. Lin Fei asked a simple question. Then can you tell me more about the great world of gods? Especially this level. I don't want to join Fengyan Tower and offend so many people. The leader of Fengyan Tower laughed heartily. This person was really interesting. Our Fengyan Tower is different from other places. Let's take the Invincible Alliance, for example. They are very particular about seniority. Even if you are an invincible war god, you can only be at the back. Lin Fei listened quietly. This leader of Fengyan Tower was really sincere in inviting Lin Fei to join Fengyan Tower. It was too difficult to find a half-step, invincible war god. Even if one appeared, people would fight over it. After a while, Lin Fei had a better understanding of the great world of gods. For example, the hidden powers were the Invincible Alliance, Fengyan Tower, the Abyss Hell, and the Assassin's Alliance. Chapter 49-23. At this moment, Lin Fei had a better understanding of the great world of the gods. He didn't expect that there were still 4 top powers that were still in hiding. This was the first time he had heard of such a situation. He also knew why Gu Yun came to look for him. He wanted him to join Fengyan Tower. After all, he was a half-step, invincible war god. This kind of opportunity did not come by often. If he missed this chance, he didn't know when he would get a second chance. Just look at the Invincible Alliance, and he knew what the situation was like. Even they wanted to make a move, let alone Fengyan Tower. Not to mention Assassin's Alliance and Abyss Hell. They would probably rush over as soon as they heard the news. Our Fengyan Tower is really sincere in inviting you to join us. Fengyan Tower's master laughed. Lin Fei knew about the situation. He also knew that the power of faith in the ring was much more than he had imagined. However, Lin Fei naturally wasn't interested in the Invincible Alliance. As for Abyss Hell and Assassin's Alliance, Lin Fei wasn't familiar with them at all. However, Fengyun Tower left a deep impression on him, let alone Guyin. I have to think about this. I think you shouldn't be in a hurry. Let's stay for a while. Fengyun Tower's master laughed heartily. No hurry, no hurry. After all, our powers are different from the others. You can stay in Fengyun Tower for a few days and take a look around. Besides a few places that you can't go to, you can go to the rest. Our Fengyun Tower is very humane. Just like that, Lin Fei came down from Fengyun Tower's master's room. Fengyun Tower's master arranged a VIP building for Lin Fei to stay in. Lin Fei refined all the power of faith in the first place. Fengyun Tower's master didn't play any tricks. It could be seen that he was sincere in wanting him to join Fengyun Tower. After all, a half-step invincible war god was still very attractive. This made Lin Fei even more aware of one thing. There shouldn't be many invincible war gods in the first level of the great world of the gods. Even a half-step invincible god of war was extremely powerful. I finally reached the 70th layer. It wasn't easy. This time, Fengyun Tower has truly given me a big present. Lin Fei felt the changes in his physical body, and his lips curled into a smile. With the help of the power of faith, Lin Fei advanced by leaps and bounds, directly reaching the 70th level. At this time, Lin Fei's body has become more vigorous and powerful. As for what realm he has reached, Lin Fei doesn't know, but the strength of his body is very explosive. Seems like joining Fengyun Tower isn't impossible. I'll have the chance to come into contact with more secrets and obtain more power of faith. In Fengyun Tower, Lin Fei had obtained a large amount of faith power, not to mention the other top forces. Whether it was the Invincible Alliance, the Assassin Alliance, or the Abyss Hell, it was believed that they all had a large amount of faith power hidden away. Lin Fei settled down quietly. On the 5th day, Guyin came over and invited Lin Fei out for a walk. Lin Fei didn't refuse and just followed Guyin out. Our Fengyun Tower is very different from other places. We pay particular attention to freedom. For example, we have a few auction houses here, and from time to time, some good things will be auctioned here. Don't tell me you want the power of faith. There are quite a lot of these places. Other than that, there is another place in the great world of the gods that also has the power of faith. Gu Yun wasn't very clear as to why Lin was so interested in the power of faith. Of course, it was very likely that he wanted to use the power of faith to reach the heavens in a single step and become a lesser god. After an invincible war god, he would be a lesser god. However, this realm was too difficult. At the very least, there was a certain amount of pressure to break through at this level. Therefore, many people thought of other methods, which were strange and unconventional. Using this method, there was still a chance to break through to the lesser god realm. However, this was too difficult. Currently, not many people had succeeded in breaking through to the lesser god realm. At the very least, Gu Yun hadn't seen one. Of course, he wouldn't express too many opinions on this matter. What he needed to do now was to properly rope in this Lin. This Lin was completely different from the others. He was very strong, especially when it came to close combat. He was very fierce. For example, Guyin could clearly feel that this Lin was emitting a terrifying aura. Moreover, he was rather dangerous. For a moment, he suspected that if Lin made a move, he wouldn't be able to withstand it and would definitely die. This kind of thinking was very absurd, but it was the truth. Lin Fei also smiled. I am quite knowledgeable about the power of faith, so I have always been researching it. Unfortunately, it is too difficult for our great world of the gods to obtain the power of faith. On the other hand, your tower master has given me a lot of power of faith, which makes me very grateful. Lin Fei spoke half-truths and half-lies. After all, It wasn't that there weren't people who researched the power of faith, but there weren't many like him. Of course, with Lin Fei's strength, Gu Yun naturally wouldn't think too much about it. Gu Yun also laughed along with him. The power of faith is indeed difficult to obtain now. This is because the previous era was the era of faith. Faith is king, and who knows how much power of faith has been taken away by unparalleled experts. When he said this, Lin Fei's heart was slightly moved. This was a secret, and he really wasn't very clear about it. What you said is quite interesting. I don't really understand the great world of the gods. That's all in the past. It was because their rule was too powerful that it led to the collapse of the great world. However, if you want the power of faith, I feel that you can go to the central province. There's still a lot of power of faith there, much more than other places. If the central province doesn't have the power of faith, then other places are even worse. Gu Yin suddenly said in a serious tone. Lin Fei naturally understood what he meant. The central province had a lot of power of faith, and it wasn't just an ordinary amount. Of course, Lin Fei also knew that it wasn't that easy to obtain the power of faith in the central province. This Gu Yin was obviously selling him some information. As for whether the Tower Master's figure was behind this, no one knew. However, it was still possible. Then I'm really ignorant and inexperienced. I really don't understand much about this. Chapter 49-24. Lin Fei wasn't very clear about the central province. He only knew that it was a very ancient place. In the great world of gods, the central province was a very special place. An ancient war had broken out in that place. If there was a place where faith power could be found, then the central province was indeed a place with a good chance of finding it. When Gu Yin said this, Lin Fei understood what he meant. It meant that their Fengyan Tower still had some information. This information was definitely related to the central province. With this information, he would be able to find this faith power. Lin Fei's reaction was quite fast. Lin Fei wasn't surprised by Gu Yin's words at all. In other words, the importance of a half-step invincible war god was very important to any power. That was why Gu Yin came to look for him and indirectly revealed some information. Lin Fei's infinite fleshly body had already reached the 70th layer. It was indeed very powerful. Of course, Lin Fei hoped that his fleshly body could improve further. Therefore, he wouldn't miss this opportunity. Then I really have to go to the central province in the future to broaden my horizons. After all, the great world of gods is so big. I haven't been to many places before. It's about time to go out and broaden my horizons. Gu Yin laughed as well. The great world of gods is indeed very big. You need to go and broaden your horizons. Our Wind and Cloud Tower has a lot of information. If you need it, just tell us and we will bring it over. Gu Yin brought Lin Fei around and even participated in a few auctions. These auctions had quite a lot of items and they were all very precious. At the very least, Lin Fei had some ideas after seeing them. To be able to become a peak power, they had a lot of items in their hands. It was the same for these auctions. Any item that was taken out could cause a fight outside. However, it was very quiet here. After a few days, Gu Yun came to look for Lin Fei again. However, this time it was the Tower Lord of Wind Cloud Tower who wanted to see Lin Fei. Lin Fei had only tagged along. That guy must have been waiting anxiously. The more Lin Fei didn't reveal his intention to join Fengyan Tower, the more anxious the Tower Master would be. He was afraid that one day Lin Fei would leave Fengyan Tower. At that time, this opportunity would be gone. Lin Fei would more or less know. Perhaps the Union of Assassins and the Abyss had already received some information. They were here to rope him in. That was why the Tower Master of Fengyan Tower was so anxious to meet him. When Lin Fei arrived, he saw that there were two more people in the hall. The two of them had two completely different auras. One was much colder and gloomier, while the other was much weirder. Lin Fei already had an idea in his heart. When Lin Fei came in, the two people also looked over. The Tower Master smiled and said, This is Dao friend Lin Mu. He's the person you're looking for. Lin Fei knew that this was the case. He didn't expect them to find him so quickly. The gloomy, middle-aged man laughed. I'm the representative of the Abyss Hell, Lung Wufeng. I'm here to invite Dao friend Lin to join our Abyss Hell. After Lung Wufeng said this, the other tall man also spoke. I'm from the Union of Assassins. Our Union of Assassins also hopes that Dao friend Lin can join us. As soon as the two of them came over, they immediately started talking. Lin Fei finally knew why the Tower Master of Fengyun Tower called him here. It seemed that the Abyss Hell and the Union of Assassins had a great influence. They still had to give face. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the qualifications to stand here. Lin Fei also smiled. He could feel that the Tower Master of Storm Tower was extremely nervous this time. Although the Abyss Hell and the Union of Assassins didn't mention anything, they only sent an invitation. Of course, this invitation was definitely not a simple one. There would definitely be some benefits. If there weren't any benefits, no one would be willing to join these two top forces. At the very least, Lin Fei was a hot commodity now. Just look at the Invincible Alliance. I didn't expect to receive an invitation from two top forces. I'm really flattered. Lin Fei also smiled. The two of them had indeed received the news that a person suspected to be at the level of an invincible war god had appeared in Jiangnan. Hence, they came immediately. At the same time, their intelligence agency had also collected information. This person was obviously an outsider. It was indeed rare to see someone with such strength. Just look at the Invincible Alliance. They managed to recruit this person and made many enemies. The two of them were delighted. The more they offended, the better. This way, they would be able to rope in someone, although they didn't know which side he would join in the end. I won't join the Abyss Hell for now. There's also the Union of Assassins. I think Fengyun Tower is not bad. Lin Fei looked at the master of Fengyun Tower. The master of Fengyun Tower was indeed waiting for Lin Mu's reply. He wasn't sure if Lin Mu would be able to join Fengyun Tower. After all, Lin Mu was very strong. Not everyone could reach the realm of a half-step invincible war god. This guy had a dangerous aura. It was obvious that his strength was not limited to this. Otherwise, the Shentian sect wouldn't be so angry. It could be seen from this. Now that he heard this, the master of Fengyun Tower's face was filled with joy and a smile. He didn't know that Lin Mu had agreed so quickly, but no matter what, it was a good thing for Fengyun Tower. I told you before that you might have come here for nothing. I'm really sorry. Our Fengyun Tower has successfully invited this cultivator. Lung Wufeng and the other tall man's expressions changed. They were indeed quite surprised. They came after receiving the news because this person didn't join Fengyun Tower immediately. They thought there was still a chance. They didn't expect that when they arrived, Lin Mu would actually propose to join Fengyun Tower. He didn't give them any chance at all. The two of them were a little regretful. After congratulating him, they left, not forgetting to leave behind a sentence. The two top forces would always open their doors. As long as Lin Fei was willing to join, he could do so at any time. This gave the master of Fengyun Tower a little pressure. It wasn't easy to recruit talents. Cultivator Lin, do you really plan to join Fengyun Tower? The master of Fengyun Tower felt that he had to ask again, even if it was a little rude. Of course, I think Fengyun Tower is not bad. Chapter 49-25. Just like that, Lin Fei joined Fengyun Tower. To him, it didn't matter which top faction he joined. He just felt that this Fengyun Tower was quite interesting. As for the Invincible Alliance, the so-called Abyss Hell, or the Assassin Alliance, they were all average. He didn't have a good impression of them. Fengyun Tower was different. It felt like a free and unfettered place. As an invincible war god, he joined Fengyun Tower. The Tower Master had wanted to hold a meeting to let everyone get to know Lin Fei, but Lin Fei smiled and refused. In the end, it was changed to a welcoming banquet. This also let Lin Fei know that there were many experts in Fengyun Tower. Disregarding everything else, Fengyun Tower's Tower Master was the strongest. He was a peak, invincible war god. Such a realm was not low at all. There were 4 levels in the invincible war god realms: early stage, middle stage, late stage, and peak stage. There were very few who could reach the peak stage. At this stage, they could break through to the next stage. But breaking through to the next stage was too difficult. Currently, no one could do it. Many invincible war gods were surprised that Lin Fei had joined Fengyun Tower at such a young age. Fengyun Tower had about 15 invincible war gods. 8 of them were true invincible war gods, and the remaining 7 were half-step invincible war gods. This was rather capable. Without a powerful invincible war god, they didn't have the right to be called a top faction. After the welcoming banquet, Lin Fei stayed in Fengyun Tower. Tower Master Fengyun brought a lot of information, all of which was about the top forces. When Lin Fei was free, he would drink tea and read up on the information. He had a better understanding of the top factions. Of the 4 top factions, the most ambitious was probably the Invincible Alliance. They had pulled in countless experts. Of course, their methods were very displeasing. As for the Abyss Hell, it was very mysterious. From time to time, it would have conflicts with the Invincible Alliance. As for the Assassin Alliance, it was a very different existence. They had no interest in the gods' great world, but they were very good at assassination. As long as they had money, they would do anything. Hence, the Assassin Alliance was not to be trifled with. Fortunately, the Assassin League's fame was not limited to the top circles. Many of the war gods didn't even know about this. It was destroyed, but no one knew who did it. In the blink of an eye, Lin Fei had stayed in Fengyun Tower for a month. During this month, he really had nothing to do other than drinking tea and reading information. Fellow cultivator Lin, it seems that you've been living a leisurely life these days. I have something good to discuss with you. I wonder if you're interested? Gu Yin came over. Ever since Lin Fei joined Fengyun Tower, this fellow would come over from time to time. After some time, they had become good friends. From time to time, they would talk about some things. I'm not like you who immerses yourself in cultivation all day. Sometimes, it's important to strike a balance between work and rest. How nice would it be to watch me drink tea and read some information? Lin Fei said with a smile. He brewed another pot of tea. Gu Yun bluntly sat down. Of course, he was envious of Lin Mu. No one was like him. After coming to Wind Cloud Tower, he just quietly drank tea and looked at the information. There was no movement at all. His mentality was completely different from the rest. Gu Yin smiled bitterly and said, "If I was like fellow Lin, then I wouldn't have anything to worry about. This time there's a god tomb. I wonder if you're interested in exploring it together. You should know that people like us only have the motivation to explore a few places when we've reached this realm." After drinking a cup of tea, Guyun became a chatterbox. Lin Fei smiled and said, "This god tomb that you're talking about should belong to a lower god, right? If that's the case, then I'm quite interested. I also want to see what they left behind." Lin Fei had read through a lot of information. Of course, he had also read about Central Province. Central Province was a very special place, so Lin Fei was not in a hurry to enter. Now that his infinite god body had reached the 70th level, he naturally hoped to reach the next level. Therefore, he was not in a hurry. He hoped to obtain more power of faith. If there was no power of faith, then the power of the demons would not matter much. However, these demons had not come to the Jiangnan region yet, let alone wander around the great world of the gods. After all, the great world of the gods was still very powerful. These demons were far from being able to influence it. According to Lin Fei's guess, it would take at least a few hundred years to reach a certain level of maturity. He reckoned that within these few hundred years, they would have been destroyed by the experts and returned to their original state. Yes, it's the great tomb of a lower god. There are quite a lot of things inside. The power of faith that fellow Lin is interested in can be found in that place. In the past, The lower gods use the power of faith to become gods. Therefore, I asked if you're interested. This is a place that we found with great difficulty. Gu Yin spoke again. After all, this Dao friend Lin in front of him was most proficient in close combat. His powerful physical body was the best partner to cooperate with. Therefore, he came over in hopes of cooperating with Lin Fei. Speaking of the power of faith, Lin Fei was naturally interested. He did not care about other things, but he definitely had to obtain the power of faith. He spoke from the bottom of my heart. If it was anything else, I wouldn't be interested. However, if it's this thing, I'm still interested in going with you. I wonder how many people are coming along this time. Me, you, and a friend of mine. 3 invincible gods of war. Such a lineup was not weak. All right, then I'll go with you to take a look. Whether it was Lin Fei or Gu Yin, both of them were people of action. After the discussion was concluded, they immediately stood up and left. On a mountain peak outside, Lin Fei saw the invincible god of war. He was an old man wearing a straw hat, but the sword intent around his body was like an incomparably sharp divine sword. He could leave his body at any time. This kind of strength was indeed not bad. Old ghost, you're quite early today. I thought we would have to wait for you. This is the newest member of our Fengyun Tower, fellow Lin Mu. He's an expert in close combat. Gu Yun introduced as soon as he arrived. This is Sword Saint 30. Sword Saint 30 also looked over, and his gaze fell on Lin Fei. This old man also feels a strong sword intent from your body. You also use a sword. Chapter 49:26. Lin Fei was not surprised that the other party could sense the existence of sword intent from his body. He did have sword intent in the past, but he didn't use it much now. To him, it was better to use this time to improve his physical body. The stronger the physical body, the greater the strength. He even had a feeling that if his infinite divine body continued to improve, the benefits would be greater and greater. This was just the beginning, and when he reached the 100th layer, there would be a big surprise. He didn't know what the surprise would be, but subconsciously, Lin Fei had already felt it. After all, he already had a karmic relationship. This great karma technique was not a joke. As the saying goes, there is a cause and there is an effect. This was a very normal thing. I did cultivate sword intent in the past, but I don't use it much now. On the other hand, Dao Friend's sword intent is very overbearing. It should be a very sharp sword technique. If anyone becomes your enemy, it should be a nightmare. Sword Saint 30 burst into laughter. What you said makes this old man very interested. When we have time, let's have a good spar. It's not easy to find someone with sword intent. Gu Yin, who was next to him, also breathed a sigh of relief. At least the two of them didn't fight tit for tat. After all, both of them had sword intent, so it was naturally different. The two of you can put this spar aside first. Our goal this time is to go to the Godhead's tomb. After all, such an opportunity is too rare. Guwon was really worried that the two of them would fight first. After all, for a sword expert, it was not easy to meet someone who cultivated sword intent, so he really wanted to have a spar. Lin Fei and Sword Saint 30 laughed loudly. I know what the situation is like now. Let's go to the Godhead's tomb first. Lin Fei also laughed. Yes, let's go to the Godhead's tomb first. Don't waste time. If someone enters first, then we will miss this opportunity. The three of them flew forward in an instant. The great world of gods was still very big, but the three of them were at the top, so they passed through it very quickly. A few days later, the three of them arrived at the peak of a cold mountain. This cold mountain was filled with a terrifying chill. The deeper they went, the scarier the chill became. Even the void was frozen. If a person with weak strength came here, their body would be frozen immediately. However, it didn't affect them at all. Gu Yin immediately took out a treasure surrounding the barrier. It was like a raging fire withstanding the frost. Sword Saint 30 was even simpler. Sword intent surrounded Sword Saint 30, and any chilling intent that approached it would be torn to shreds. The most unfathomable one was Lin Fei. He was directly enduring the frost, which made Sword Saint 3 worship him even more. In the past, I always thought that a good swordsman must have a strong body. Today, I finally see it. Your fleshly body has already reached the level of an invincible war god weapon. Ordinary invincible war god weapons won't be able to hurt you. Lin Fei felt that Sword Saint 33 had a good eye. He could even see that his fleshly body was indeed very powerful. Ordinary weapons wouldn't be able to hurt him, even if it was an invincible war god weapon. This fleshly body is just SO. It can't be considered anything. Although Lin Fei said so, Gu Yun and Sword Saint 30 didn't believe him. The three of them continued to fly forward. The void in front of them was getting harder and harder to walk. A streak of sword intent slashed out, cleaving open a path. Finally, they arrived at the peak of a snow mountain. It's here. A white whirlpool appeared at the end of the snow mountain. Boundless chilling intent directly surged up from the bottom. The three of them felt the chilling intent invading them, but none of it could hurt Lin Fei, not to mention the other two. The passage is below. However, the formation here is very terrifying. I've already tried it a few times, but I can't stand it at all, because in an instant it can erupt with a terrifying danger. I think it will be troublesome to break this formation. Dao friend Lin. Lin Fei had already sensed it. He could clearly see that there was indeed a terrifying and dangerous aura below the white whirlpool. As long as a human came over, they would suffer a terrifying attack. No problem. This chilling intent is nothing to me. You guys stand aside, I'll tear it apart. In this industry, one could clearly feel the terror within. An ordinary, fleshly body wouldn't be able to withstand it at all. It was the same for people at the level of a war god. To be able to leave such a white whirlpool here, it was indeed rare. Gu Yin and Sword Saint 30 had already gone far away. They didn't dare to get too close, as they could feel the terror of the chilling intent. Lin Fei directly rushed into the white whirlpool. In an instant, all the frost gathered, and the chilling intent became even more terrifying. At this moment, even Gu Yun and Sword Saint 33 could feel the increase in the chilling intent. At this moment, the chilling intent had reached the power of a half-step invincible war god. Not everyone could withstand it. After a loud rumbling sound, a figure rushed out. A figure dashed out. It was Lin Fei. Lin Fei was already holding a white crystal in his hand. As soon as this crystal was taken out, Gu Yun congratulated him. It's this thing. Daoist Lin is really amazing to be able to take out this 10,000-year chill so quickly. Without this thing, the power of this formation will naturally increase slowly. Lin Fei was indeed holding a white crystal in his hand. Just this white crystal alone was enough to make people feel the terrifying power within it. Gu Yun prostrated himself in admiration. It was the same even if he was a Sword Saint 30. Their fleshly bodies couldn't withstand the attack of the chilling intent. If it dragged on, they would suffer a great loss. It seems that with Daoist Lin here this time, some things will be much more convenient. Sword Saint 33 laughed. He also couldn't withstand the power of this 10,000-year chill. Lin Fei chuckled and put it away. It seems that you guys don't want it. Then this thing belongs to me. It's pretty good to use it to temper my fleshly body when I'm free. Only Lin Fei could say something like this. As for the others, they really couldn't take it, let alone accept it. They couldn't withstand it at all. Then let's not delay any further. Let's go in now. We can solve the danger in this formation. They rushed in one after the other. Below them was a huge underground space. Pillars of ice stood tall, and wherever they passed, the chilling intent would still wreak havoc mercilessly. However, it was much weaker than before. People from Fengyun Tower, you're late. We've already booked this place. Chapter 49:27. Gu Yin was the first to react when he heard that voice. He snorted coldly at them. Invincible Alliance, you actually came here first. How shameless. This place was discovered by Fengyun Tower first. Since when was it your turn? Lin Fei's and Sword Saint 33's expressions changed slightly. The former naturally knew about the Invincible Alliance. As for the latter, he didn't know. But it was different if the people from the Invincible Alliance were here. At this moment, a small group of people appeared in front of them. There were 6 of them, and they could see them clearly. Faintly discernible lights flickered around them. If they guessed correctly, someone must have set up a formation here. This formation didn't look simple. It was no wonder that Gu Yen's expression was so ugly. That guy down there isn't easy to deal with. Don't be fooled by his smile. Everyone likes to say that he hides a dagger behind his smile. You have to be careful if you meet him. You have to go all out. At this moment, Sword Saint 33's voice rang out. Lin Fei also saw the person he was talking about. It was a pale, beardless guy who looked very cold. The smile on his face looked very approachable at first glance. But at second glance, one could feel the deep mockery in the smile. It was obvious that he wasn't a good person. Got it. If we really fight, I'm not that easy to bully. Although the Invincible Alliance is quite influential, who's afraid of who? Lin Fei said calmly. The few of them also saw him. First, Gu Yin, and then Sword Saint 33. Of course, they also saw Lin Fan. Their Invincible Alliance had suffered quite a bit at his hands. Even now, they were still gritting their teeth. They had no choice. Who asked this guy to join Fengyun Tower? If it was anywhere else, things would be fine. But since he joined Fengyun Tower, things were different. If they wanted to find trouble with him, they had to think twice. At the very least, Fengyun Tower was on the same level as them. To meet Lin Fei here was indeed quite surprising. Of course, their gazes turned much colder. If they were in Fengyun Tower, they might not be able to do anything. But here, they had a way to deal with Lin Fei. It wasn't easy to kill him, but he could definitely heavily injure him. It was just that simple. At their level, it wasn't easy to determine a victor in a fight. However, it was still a piece of cake for him to injure the other party. Our Wind Cloud Tower was the first to discover this place. I advise you to hurry up and leave. Otherwise, you won't have it easy when we attack later. Gu Yin was indeed very angry. He directly said coldly, they had finally found a tomb of the god of sin, but they encountered such a thing, and someone else got there first. It was definitely a very unpleasant thing. Even if they had a lot of people, this time they had a sword saint and a close combat expert, Lin Mu. That was a completely different story. He would definitely be able to contend with them. Gu Yin still had a lot of confidence. Sword Saint 33 said coldly, Xiao Zifei, there has to be a first come, first served rule in this place. You also know my temper. If you don't want this old man to get angry, hurry up and leave. They came here to enter the tomb of the god of sin. If others were to be a step ahead of them, they would naturally be unhappy. Xiao Zifei, who was inside the array, laughed loudly. He seemed very proud of himself. If you want us to come out, that's fine. You have to break this array first. Let me tell you, this is the simplified version of the invincible array that I brought out from the Invincible Alliance. When these words came out, Gu Yen's expression changed the fastest. Even Sword Saint 30 had undergone some changes. How is it? Are you surprised? This is the latest research result of our Invincible Alliance. You guys attack slowly, we will go in first. The things inside can't be given to you so easily. This time, it has to be our everlasting Alliance's turn. Sword Saint 33 moved. The sword light directly slashed down. Following that, a layer of ripples appeared. Instantly, it felt like a knife had landed on cotton. He couldn't exert any strength at all. Instead, the energy at the side leaked out and directly fell into the depths of the void. This is bad. Xiao Zifei, actually got a simplified version of the invincible array. Even if it's a simplified version, its defense is still amazing. My sword and tent actually can't break this array for a while. It seems like it will take some time. Gu Yin also flew out with his sword. This sword also landed on the array, but it didn't explode with too much power. One could imagine how powerful this array was. Qiao Zifei laughed loudly. He was proud of himself. Aren't you guys very powerful? Then let's do it. If you guys can catch up to us, the treasures in this tomb of the god of sin will naturally belong to you. Otherwise, you can only wait outside. Don't worry. We will more or less leave you some things. After all, we are one of the 4 top forces. Don't you think so? I can still do that. In the blink of an eye, the few of them entered, leaving only the array behind. Lin Fei's eyes narrowed slightly. Isn't it just an array? Let me break these things. I'm the best at it. The next second, Lin Fei's fist landed on the array. Countless ripples appeared. The resistance of this fist was quite strong. No wonder they were so confident. Lin Fei's lips slightly curled up. With a hum sound, under the surge of energy, the array directly expanded. The ripples on the array became even faster. Huala huala, I couldn't keep up. With a hum sound, the array was broken. Even the ground was filled with craters. Look, an array can be broken so easily. There's no helping it, who told me to be so strong. Gu Yin and Sword Saint 33 both laughed. This trip with Lin Fei had really broadened their horizons. The defensive strength of this array is shocking. I never thought that it would be broken in front of fellow Lin. If the people inside knew about this, they would definitely be dumbfounded. Gu Yin smiled. This is bad. The array we laid outside has been broken. Damn it! When did Gu Yin become so strong? Sword Saint 33 shouldn't have this kind of strength. Could it be that bastard Lin Mu ruined our plans again? Their expressions all changed. This simplified invincible array was naturally a good item of their invincible alliance. Every time they laid it outside, it would cause those experts to grit their teeth and not be able to break it in a short period of time. No matter how fast it would still take half an incense's time. And this bit of time they could do many things. But now it was broken just like that. Chapter 49:28. Once the array outside was broken, it wasn't a good thing for Qiao Zifei, who was inside. He never thought that they would be able to break the array so quickly. Could it be that he had brought a fake out? Logically speaking, it was impossible, so the only possibility was that guy called Lin Mu. That guy seemed to be quite capable, otherwise it would be impossible for him to break the array in such a short time. Don't stop, let's charge in, we can't let them take advantage of us. This is a god's tomb. Qiao Zifei moved very quickly. He flew towards the innermost area. He couldn't care so much about the situation behind him. Lin Fei was at the front, while Sword Saint 33 and Gu Yin were at the back. The two of them were extremely envious of Lin Fei's physical body. Such a powerful physical body was really enviable. Along the way, they encountered the methods that Qiao Zifei had set up, but these methods were useless against Lin Fei. Lin Fei didn't need to hide the strength of his physical body. He made it all the way, causing the two of them to be extremely envious. If such a method was used on them, it would definitely cause them to be in a sorry state. But now it was different, with Daoist Lin opening the way. It was naturally much easier. Not long later, they saw Qiao Zifei and his group. They were breaking the array here, and when they saw Gu Yin and his group, their expressions instantly changed. Qiao Zifei said directly, I didn't expect you guys to arrive so quickly. If I'm not wrong, it should be your contribution, right? Even my methods were blocked by you. You really have a good physical body. At this moment, Qiao Zifei's gaze landed on the other party, which was Lin Fei. Only this guy could withstand those methods. If they knew earlier, they wouldn't have used more powerful methods. Unfortunately, it was too late now. Qiao Zifei, you miscalculated this time. This place was first discovered by our Fengyan Tower, and you set up a large array to block us. It seems like we can make a move now." Gu Yun attacked immediately, while Sword Saint 33 released a sword array. One by one, the flying swords slashed over, covering the sky and covering the earth, incomparably ferocious. Qiao Zifei and the others also retaliated, especially when Qiao Zifei released a large bell that directly floated above their heads, forming a defense. All that was left was the tinkling sound. Following that, the bell let out a whooshing sound and an invisible sound wave swept over. Both Gu Yin and Sword Saint 33 could feel the pressure. "Since all of you have rushed in, let's have a good fight and see who is stronger." Qiao Zifei's treasure was also quite powerful. It was an invincible treasure that he had spent his entire fortune to obtain. Now it had finally come in handy. Ding dong, it rang. It formed a suppression. At the very least, Gu Yun's and Sword Saint 33's might would be greatly weakened. They had to defend against the sound wave attacks of the clock. On the other hand, Lin Fei didn't seem to be affected at all. With a whoosh, he appeared in front of the bell and punched it. There was a loud bang. A surge of power erupted from Lin Fei's hand. The large bell also started to move. Dong, 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 dong. The sounds were endless. Even Qiao Zifei couldn't control it for a moment. Suddenly, Qiao Zifei vomited blood with a sound. His physical body had actually suffered heavy injuries. He didn't even feel what kind of attack it was before he was inexplicably injured. He knew that this guy was very strange, but he never expected him to be strange to this extent. Even the other experts also felt the danger of this level. Bang, 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 bang. Everywhere it passed, they also vomited blood. Because at this moment, Lin Fei used a karmic move. Such a killer move could cause them to suffer heavy injuries in an instant. Lin Fei didn't hesitate at all and pressed down with another palm. With this pressure, a loud rumbling sound could be heard as the power crushed their bodies. At this time, Lin Fei didn't show any mercy at all. His power crushed them, causing them to vomit blood and fly out. This wasn't considered too strong. After all, Lin Fei didn't want to show off too much. Otherwise, everyone would treat him as a public enemy. Lin Fei still had this bit of common sense. As soon as these experts were injured, even the big bell was sent flying. Qiao Zifei had a hard time retrieving it. He directly pulled out a scroll, wrapped it around them, and flew out with a whoosh. All that was left was a crack in the void. These guys don't have much guts, slipping away so quickly. On the other hand, this spatial treasure is pretty good. Lin Fei didn't chase them at all. In fact, he could chase them even if he wanted to, but it would be best if he could chase them away. Gu Yin and Sword Saint 33 felt too relaxed. They were easily chased away, just like that. They didn't even use much strength. Taoist Lin is still the best. You chase them away so quickly. It's a pity that you didn't make them stay. Otherwise, the Invincible Alliance would definitely be furious. No matter what, they were victorious this time. They were even more glad that they had invited Lin Fei over this time. Just look at the people from the Invincible Alliance. Now we can break the array. At the mention of breaking the array, their expressions changed instantly. Breaking the array was the key now. Only by doing this could they quickly enter the god's tomb. This time, the three of them worked together to break the array. This array was powerful, but it wasn't as difficult as they imagined. Of course, the main force was still Lin Fei. Not long after, the array was broken. They entered a palace. This palace looked extremely sinister, and there was an oppressive aura. Lin Fei could naturally sense that this was the aura of a lower deity. It was indeed the god's tomb, left behind by a god-level expert. Now that we're here, everyone has to be careful. The god's tomb is much more dangerous than we imagined. Gu Yin had a better understanding of the god's tomb. These words were directed at Lin Fei, for fear that Lin Fei would fall into a trap if he wasn't careful. Indeed, we have to be careful. As soon as he finished speaking, a gust of wind came from the front. This wind came without any warning. The three of them instantly put up their defenses. Even so, they still suffered from the impact. Sword Saint 33 and Gu Yun vomited blood. Even Lin Fei himself was bleeding. Is this the power of a lower deity? This kind of power indeed surprised Lin Fei. Chapter 49:29. This gust of wind allowed Lin Fei to experience the might of a low god. It was indeed a crushing power. Of course, it was dangerous for Lin Fei. However, his physical body was also able to experience how powerful he was. Only a small amount of blood was left behind. However, when they looked at Gu Yun and Sword Saint 33's words, their faces turned pale and filled with fear. They did not expect that they would be injured in just one move. Previously, when they fought with them, they were not in such a sorry state. Now they were in a sorry state. I underestimated the power of this god's tomb. I didn't expect that there would be a lower god's technique here. I'm afraid there will be a lot of techniques along the way. Gu Yin had a deep fear in his heart. That attack just now made him feel like he was about to die. Not to mention Sword Saint 33. Both of them were planning to find something in this god's tomb, but it seemed to be very difficult. One technique was already like this, not to mention the later techniques. Taoist Lin, I'm afraid that only you can go in. The two of us can't, we are far from it. Gu Yun said. Sword Saint 33 also said, yes, the danger here is much greater than I imagined. Both of us are injured, so I'm afraid that only you can enter the god's tomb. We can only help you guard it from the outside. Lin Fei knew that these two people were afraid. They were already at a disadvantage before even reaching the inside. It was unlikely that they would be able to go inside. All right, I'll go in and take a look. Lin Fei continued to move forward, but his speed was not very fast. Not long after, another gust of cold wind blew over. The power was comparable to before, causing Gu Yun and Sword Saint 33 to be shocked. It seemed that this god's tomb was really difficult to pass. If there were 7 or 8 of such techniques, they would not be able to pass at all. The difference was too big. This god's tomb was much more powerful than they had imagined. 1 technique, 2 techniques, 3 techniques for techniques. Lin Fei broke through 9 attacks in a row and arrived at a small palace. This small palace was very small, but it also made Lin Fei realize that the pressure and attacks he felt along the way were really quite powerful. Even his body had many cracks. Of course, it was not serious. It was still within Lin Fei's expectations. Of course, such a method was a huge blow to Gu Yun and Sword Saint 33. They were unable to endure it at all. It seems that I will have to be very careful if I want to venture into the divine tombs in the future. I don't know when I will encounter a divine tomb like this one. This low god is no ordinary low god. He might even be a pinnacle existence. Lin Fei pushed open the door of the palace. This time, he didn't use any special techniques. Following that, an illusory figure appeared. This was a black-robed figure. The moment he appeared, he exuded a godly might. The pressure was like a mountain, crushing down on them layer by layer. Congratulations, lucky one. You have successfully passed the test I left behind. You are now qualified to obtain the treasure I left behind. His voice was emotionless, and his eyes were cold as if he wanted to see through Lin Fei. Then what can I get? Rays of light flew out. Inside each ray of light was a ring. It turned out that all the items were stored inside the ring. You can choose any one of the rings inside. Whatever you choose, you will get. There was actually such a choice. Lin Fei didn't think too much about it and started to sense the rings. Currently, what he wanted the most was the power of faith. Now that his physical body had become exceptionally powerful, he could really sense the existence of the power of faith. There was a total of 6 rings here. The first ring didn't have any, and the second ring didn't have any response. Lin Fei's heart sank. Could it be that there isn't any power of faith? Logically speaking, it's not possible. I'm just missing the last one. After sensing it, Lin Fei smiled. He finally sensed the existence of the power of faith. It was inside the last ring. I want this ring. The ring immediately flew over and landed on Lin Fei's hand. Lin Fei inspected it and didn't find any danger. Therefore, he went to check it himself. There was indeed a large amount of power of faith inside. The entire ring was filled with the power of faith. There was nothing else. This ring should be the most inconspicuous one among them. It was also the one with the lowest value. After all, not many people could use the power of faith. However, it was different for Lin Fei. You've already chosen a ring. I wonder if you're interested in continuing to challenge the test that I left behind. If you can pass it again, you'll be able to obtain even more powerful things. My things can't be obtained without strength. Lin Fei suddenly realized that what he got was just a consolation prize. Even if it was a consolation prize, it was still very useful to Lin Fei. It was more valuable than anything else. It turned out that there were other good things. To be honest, Lin Fei wasn't too interested in other things. However, if there was still the power of faith, he decided to ask first. I wonder if there are any treasures like the one I just saw. If there are, then I'm quite interested. If there aren't, then forget it. Lin Fei was very direct. If there were, then he would participate. If there weren't, then he would leave. Anyway, he was satisfied with his gains. Little guy, you're quite interesting. As long as you can pass the test, there are even better things like the one you just saw. No problem. Swoosh! The surrounding scenery changed. Lin Fei was instantly in a dark place. Then he felt a dangerous aura. A figure pounced on him. This figure instantly slashed at him with a blade light. It was like a long river directly crushing over. It immediately exploded with the power of an invincible god of war. It was even at the peak of power. It really could catch people off guard. This torrent instantly crushed Lin Fei's body. Lin Fei was as still as a mountain. Next, he sent out a blast of power with a backhand. Following that, a cold light shrouded over and instantly froze the entire void. At this moment, Lin Fei finally saw what this black shadow was. It was actually an existence similar to a demon beast. After this thing moved a little, it shook off the ice. It pounced on him again. It turned out that the attack just now was caused by its claws. With a wave of its claws, it instantly blasted out a stream of light. This stream of light would get bigger and bigger, and its power would get stronger and stronger. It attacked with both hands, creating two torrents. After the two torrents converged, they instantly turned into the power of water and fire. Its power greatly increased. Chapter 49:30. Qiao Zifei wasn't killed. He escaped immediately, but he didn't go too far away from this place. He wasn't willing, so he informed the experts of the sect immediately. He decided to catch them off guard. Aren't you strong? Then I'll find more people. Let's see who's stronger. Their invincible alliance still had some strong, invincible war gods. If one didn't work, then two. If two didn't work, then three. Anyway, no matter what, he had to take care of this guy today. A figure appeared in the sky, causing ripples to appear in the void. When this person appeared, Qiao Zifei became extremely excited. He cupped his hands towards him. Brother Bai, you're here. It's great that you're here. You'll definitely take care of that Lin Mu. This guy is too much. We discovered the god's tomb first, but he beat us to it. He even chased us out. I really can't take this lying down. Bai He Yuan, a special name. He was also a peak invincible war god expert in the alliance. Qiao Zifei was really happy that such an expert had come. This wasn't an ordinary peak invincible war god expert. He had fought against two of them alone and didn't lose out. He could even fight to a draw with them. So in their circle, peak invincible war gods were divided into stars. For example, this brother Bai. He was a 2-star invincible war god expert. The more peak invincible war gods one fought against, the higher one's star would be. Legend had it that the strongest was a peak invincible war god who reached 9 stars. He could fight against more than 9. There were more than imagined. At least a dozen wouldn't be a problem. Remember, they were peak invincible war god experts. As for normal invincible war gods, they would all be destroyed. They were just that strong. Such a big thing happened. I definitely had to come. Bai Heiyuan smiled faintly. Fengyan Tower's attitude has changed recently, so I'll teach them a small lesson. Xiao Zifei was happy that such an expert at the peak of the 2-star invincible war god level had arrived. The hardest to deal with here was Lin Mu. Tell me about your fight with that guy so that I can understand him better. What kind of background does he have? Xiao Zifei told him everything in full detail, not daring to hide anything at all. He even explained some of the opponent's little tricks and speculations clearly. Bai Heiyuan frowned slightly. He finally understood what was going on. Looks like this Lin Mu is quite capable. He's actually a close combat expert. It's rare to see such an expert. The more he is like this, the more our invincible alliance needs to deal with him. We can't let him continue cultivating. Otherwise, if his physical body becomes a god, that would be the most terrifying thing. That shouldn't be possible. I heard that becoming a low god with one's body is equivalent to becoming a god through strength. It's extremely terrifying. Once one becomes a low god, he would be in existence at the pinnacle of low gods. Xiao Zifei admitted that this fellow Lin Mu was strong, but he did not believe that the other side's body could become a god. What an ancient way! It was just like the power of faith to become a god in the past, because at that time, most people used the power of faith to become a god. To cultivate a large number of believers and harvest the power of faith, there were all kinds of wars. The goal was to harvest the power of faith. As for becoming a god with one's body, it was really too rare. Bai Heiyuan said calmly, "We have to guard against this kind of thing, because the other side has already reached this level of potential. No wonder Fengyan Tower would be one step ahead. If we had known earlier, we would have destroyed them back then. So now is a chance." Regarding this kind of thing, Bai Heiyuan would rather kill 10,000 innocents than let one go. Once he became a god with his body, he would definitely be a terrifying existence. At the very least, it wouldn't be easy for the Invincible Alliance to deal with Lin Mu. So now was a chance. Xiao Zifei naturally did not dare to say anything. Bai Heiyuan was a very domineering existence in the Invincible Alliance. He had always been very serious when doing things. Once he was interested in something, he would definitely do it to the end. If we kill this fellow, I believe Fengyan Tower will be in pain for a long time. Don't they hope that once this fellow's body becomes a god, he will become a powerful force for Fengyan Tower? Of course, we won't let that happen. Xiao Zifei also said from the side. Sword Saint 33 and Guyan had been guarding outside. They even set up a formation. They were also worried that the people from the Invincible Alliance would come over. After all, they would not give up on a god's tomb easily. Although this god's tomb was very dangerous, it was extremely valuable, so they set up a formation. In their hearts, they believed that Lin Fei would definitely succeed. Not long after, when they sensed that someone was running towards them, they stood up one after another. The two of them ate some medicinal pills and recovered quite a bit. Even if Xiao Zifei came over, they had nothing to worry about. In fact, Xiao Zifei was the first to come over. They saw Sword Saint 33 and Guyan at a glance. They could not help but be a little surprised. Then they laughed out loud. "Why didn't the two of you go in? Why don't you let me guess what's going on? It must be that the methods inside are too powerful and stopped you guys, right?" Sword Saint 33 and Guyan were actually not very surprised to see Xiao Zifei. However, when they saw the figure behind him, their expressions changed slightly. Naturally, they recognized him. The person behind him was Bai Heiyuan, an extremely powerful expert. Furthermore, he was a peak 2-star, invincible war god. He was much stronger than them. They did not expect the Invincible Alliance to suddenly send such a powerful expert. No wonder Qiao Zifei came back. Then what is the meaning of this? Could it be that you want to fight? Sword Saint 33 coldly snorted. He was also secretly complaining in his heart. If he knew that it would be like this, he would have gone in with Lin Mu. Now, such a powerful existence had come. Even Gu Yin was the same. Don't think that they were all people from the top powers. There was still a certain difference in strength. Just the two of you are lying here. It just so happens that your Lin Mu made our Invincible Alliance suffer a loss. Then, I will let you suffer a little too. Bai Heiyuan smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, the entire sky turned dark. One could not even see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. Gu Yun and Sword Saint 33 instantly used their methods. However, it was impossible to defend against these methods in the dark of the night. With a wah sound, the two of them were directly sent flying. They could not even withstand a single move. This was the difference. Too weak. Chapter 49:31. Lin Fei didn't know what was happening outside. He was fighting with the demonic beast puppet. The demonic beast puppet was indeed very powerful. The power of its claws was really terrifying. The two forces could actually fuse together and burst out with a brand new power. It also greatly broadened Lin Fei's horizons. It seemed that this lower celestial expert was really not simple. He could even leave behind such a method. No wonder he said that he was going to be tested. Even though it left a big crack on Lin Fei's body, it was really nothing to Lin Fei. Of course, he had more confidence in his physical body. I've been fighting with you for so long. There's no need to continue. I think I'd better cripple you. Otherwise, it's purely a waste of time. The demonic beast puppet guy came up again. It attacked from both sides. Just as he was about to make his move, Lin Fei slapped him with his palm. The power of this palm surged out and penetrated the demonic beast puppet with a loud bang. Its whole body was full of cracks. With a wah sound, the powerful demonic beast puppet broke into pieces just like that. I can be considered to have passed the first test. I don't know if there is a second test. Hurry up and don't waste time. Or is there a reward for each level? If that's the case, I won't have a problem even if there are 100 levels. Actually, I'm quite a nice person. Lin Fei laughed. To be honest, he quite hoped that it would be like this. That phantom appeared once again. I didn't expect you to actually pass the first level. Not bad, not bad. However, you still have to pass 2 more levels to get the reward of the test. As soon as the voice fell, another 2 demonic beast puppets pounced on him. This time, the strength of these 2 was stronger than before. Their speed was also faster. In an instant, cracks were left on Lin Fei's body. Even if Lin Fei was fast, their speed was just as fast, and their strength was just as strong. This made Lin Fei realize that these 2 demon beast puppets were not simple. The difficulty of the second stage had instantly increased by 100 times. If it was easy before, then it was not so easy now. If he was slightly careless, he would be killed by these 2 demonic beast puppets. If it had been someone else, they would have been completely annihilated by that attack. This is a test. This kind of test is interesting. I like it very much. Lin Fei had already experienced it before. Therefore, at this time, he did not think too much and directly attacked. The moment they made their move, it was a spectacular battle. Compared to before, this time, Lin Fei had to go all out. The 2 demonic beast puppets, who had gone all out, each lasted 7 moves before being smashed into pieces by Lin Fei. It took a total of 14 moves to defeat the 2 compressed puppets. After the second stage, Lin Fei was also looking forward to the third stage. He originally thought that there would be 3 demonic beast puppets in the third stage. However, he never expected that the third stage would not be demonic beast puppets. Unexpectedly, a virtual shadow appeared in front of him. This virtual shadow directly appeared in front of Lin Fei. A faint voice floated over. You are indeed much more powerful than I imagined. It seems that you are qualified to pass the third stage. In the third stage, you either have to kill me or I have to kill you. It's that simple. Seriously, Lin Fei was a little surprised. He did not expect that the last stage would be blocked by this virtual shadow. In other words, either the virtual shadow killed him or the virtual shadow killed him. Interesting, really interesting. Then bring it on. Anyway, you have existed for a long time. It's time for you to disappear. There's no meaning in staying. The virtual shadow also said, There's one move. If you can withstand it, then you win. If you can't, then I win. Lin Fei did not dare to be careless. After all, this was left behind by a demigod. Most likely, it would be an attack from a demigod. The power of a demigod. The power of a demigod. If he were to be careless, he would be turned into ashes. The virtual shadow raised his hand. A huge sun came crashing down. This sun was getting closer and closer to Lin Fei. The sky was filled with resplendent rays of light that came crashing down. The entire void was instantly pierced through by these rays of light. Even Lin Fei was left with bloody holes. These rays of light actually pierced through his physical defenses, leaving bloody holes on his body. In the blink of an eye, Lin Fei had been turned into a hornet's nest. Even so, Lin Fei did not fall. He stood there steadily. Looking at the wounds all over his body, he really underestimated the power of this move. This move had definitely reached the level of a demigod. Moreover, it was a very powerful one. The straight path virtual eye also slowly dissipated. You really are on the path of becoming a god with your physical body. I wish you good luck. This was the last voice that Lin Fei heard. Then the virtual shadow completely collapsed and disappeared. Then a ring fell to the ground. Lin Fei hadn't expected the shadow to carry the ring around with him. What's more, the shadow had used some tricks to obtain it. Ordinary people would not be able to detect it at all unless they could withstand this move. With a thought, Lin Fei's physical body instantly recovered. Although it consumed a lot of energy, he had also seen the means of a real demigod. Perhaps even some demigods did not have such means. The move just now was indeed quite terrifying, but the harvest was also quite big. He finally got this ring. Lin Fei was not in a hurry to open it. He still recovered for a while. Then he carefully opened the ring. As expected, this ring was not too dangerous. However, there was something inside that instantly made Lin Fei's eyes light up. Then there was a black crystal in his hand. This black crystal was not big. It was only the size of a fist. It was covered with large patterns and looked very sacred. Lin Fei already knew what it was. This was the legendary godhead. I didn't expect that I could actually get a godhead. Lin Fei was really surprised. A godhead was a godhead cultivated by a demigod. Having a godhead meant having divine power. That was why there was a huge gap between the demigods and the invincible gods of war. No matter how much an invincible god of war cultivated in front of a demigod, he would be killed like an ant. This was the effect of having a strong divine power. Apart from that, this godhead contained a large amount of faith energy. A godhead was completely condensed from the power of faith. Rich? Chapter 4932. Lin Fei had never thought that he would be able to obtain a godhood here. That's right, this was a godhood, and it was a godhood formed from the power of faith. Within this godhead, Lin Fei could feel the dense power of faith. This power of faith seemed to have undergone a sublimation. Compared to the power of faith from before, it was completely different. This was definitely something that would make Lin Fei happy. If there were no surprises, this god rank expert should have walked the path of the power of faith to become a god. With these godhoods, once he refined them, he would definitely be able to improve his infinite godly physique by a large margin. Right now, he was only at the 70th level. However, once he refined this godhood, Lin Fei could even guess that his god body would improve by at least 10 levels. And this was on the lower end. If it was more, then 20 levels wouldn't be too difficult. This was a huge surprise. As for the other things, they were also quite good, but they were still far from being comparable to this godhood. Lin Fei didn't think too much about it and let the system absorb and refine them. Instantly, a bunch of honor points appeared. These honor points were really huge. Lin Fei had really underestimated the use of these godhoods. At the same time, he understood that if he wanted to continue improving his god body, he would have to start with these godhoods. This could be considered as opening a path for Lin Fei. If it wasn't for this lower god leaving behind a godhood, it would have been really difficult for him to obtain it. If the people outside knew what Lin Fei was thinking, they probably wouldn't know whether to laugh or cry. Do you really think that a godhood is so easy to obtain? Once a godhood is refined, it can allow an expert to improve. At the very least, it can allow an expert to reach the level of a half-step divine realm expert. This is a lot stronger than a peak invincible war god. His body could already cultivate traces of god power. This was the greatest use of godhoods. However, where did Lin Fei get this idea from? He immediately started to improve. 71st level, 72nd level, 73rd level, 74th level, 80th level, 81st level, 82nd level, 85th level, 90th level. In one go, he had increased his strength by 20 levels. Even though Lin Fei had already expected it, he was still shocked in his heart. It was really beyond his imagination. His face was replaced with joy. Oh my God, I actually raised my divine body to the 90th level in one go. I'm still 10 levels away from the 100th level. This divine deity is too powerful. I've really found a golden path. Lin Fei thought that he would be able to raise it to the 80th or 8,112th layer. In the end, he didn't expect it to reach the 90th layer in one go. What surprised Lin Fei the most was that his physical body seemed to have undergone many changes. Traces of a special power seemed to be born in his body. However, this power did not seem to be completely condensed. Lin Fei seemed to understand what this was. This should be the legendary divine power. This was the difference between a lower god and an invincible war god. He could kill an invincible war god with a single wave of divine power. He was a truly formidable force. Lin Fei could also feel that his physical body had already stepped into a whole new realm. Could this be the physical body of a god? In other words, it was the physical body of a lower god. Because in his physical body, there was not only a faintly discernible divine power, but there was also an illusory runes that covered his entire body. This was also something that his previous physical body did not have. Or are these the infinite god runes? In front of these runes, Lin Fei could feel the vastness and mystery of these runes. They were far from what ordinary runes could compare to. Although they were not very condensed and were in an illusory state, it seemed like they would collapse with a light touch. In reality, Lin Fei could feel that these runes should be very powerful. Apart from this, Lin Fei could feel that they were very powerful. Even with his bare hands, he was filled with terrifying power. For example, right now, if another invincible war god came over, he would be able to send him flying with one punch. One punch could make his physical body collapse. It was that simple. Although he only raised it by 20 levels, the increase in power was really extraordinary. Domineering. It seems like someone has come in. Feeling the changes in his physical body, Lin Fei suddenly frowned slightly. He could feel a figure coming over, and it was quite strong. It was an expert at the peak invincible war god level. The illusory figure is gone, so the formation here should not exist anymore. If I'm not wrong, it should be someone from the Invincible Alliance. Apart from them, Lin Fei really did not think that anyone else could come here. With their thoughts, they would definitely not be able to suppress it. They would definitely come looking for him. In the blink of an eye, two figures came in a sorry state. It was Sword Saint 33 and Gu Yin. Both of them were severely injured. Along the way, the two of them did not encounter any particularly powerful spirit formations. Thus, when they saw Lin Fei, they immediately shouted, "Fellow cultivator Lin, hurry up and leave. The Invincible Alliance has shamelessly sent a powerful expert here. Both of us are no match for him." The two of them had already fought with Bai Heiyuan just now. They were not a match for him at all. They were injured in a single exchange, and this was because the other party had shown mercy, deliberately sparing their lives in order to humiliate them. A bead instantly flew over, and the entire void seemed to be shaken. A few figures came in just like that. The one walking in front was Bai Heiyuan. Behind him was Qiao Zifei. He obviously had a smug look on his face. When he saw Lin Mu, he shouted, "Lin Mu, let's see where you can go now. The experts from our invincible sect are here. Aren't you very arrogant? Even if you kneel on the ground and repent, you won't have the chance to do so." With an expert like Bai Heiyuan here, Qiao Zifei really did not think much of Lin Mu. No matter how powerful he was, could he beat Bai Heiyuan? Then he was definitely thinking too much. Bai Heiyuan also saw this young man. The Invincible Alliance had tried to recruit him before, but in the end, the other party injured their people. He did not expect to meet him this time. "If I'm not wrong, you should have taken away the treasures in the God's tomb. Otherwise, along the way here, there would have been formations triggered long ago. You wouldn't have waited until now," Bai Heiyuan said as he looked at Lin Fei. Sword Saint 33 and Gu Yin both stood beside Lin Fei. The treasures just now had already shaken the entire void. Even though they had not unleashed their power, they knew that it was impossible to force their way out of this place. The power of the treasures was definitely enough to make it hard for their bodies to move. This was the reason why they were defeated so quickly previously. But the other party did not have this restriction. It could be said that he had a huge advantage. Chapter 49-33. Facing such an opponent, both Sword Saint 33 and Gu Yin felt immense pressure. They were no match for him. Although Daoist Lin was extremely strong, especially in close combat, Bai Heiyuan was not an easy opponent. Once they met, they had no chance of winning. It could be said that they could only crush Bai Heiyuan. Hence, their hearts sank. If they really fought, the three of them would not be able to defeat Bai Heiyuan. It was as simple as that. Furthermore, I suspect that it's very likely that you've obtained a godhood. Am I right? If it was in the past, it would at most be considered ordinary. However, this sentence was indeed shocking. No one knew better than them that if one wanted to advance from the invincible war god realm to the lesser god realm, the easiest step was to refine a godhead. Godheads were too difficult to obtain. Once a god rank expert was killed, their godhead would be destroyed. It was very difficult to preserve it completely. Hence, the importance of a godhead was obvious. As long as one's potential wasn't too bad, one could basically become a lower god after refining it. After becoming a god rank expert, one could no longer advance. The temptation of becoming a god rank expert was even more attractive than the invincible war god realm. This was because god rank experts had a long lifespan. Under normal circumstances, there was a high possibility of breaking through the lower god realm and becoming a middle god. Although it was difficult, there was still hope. If one couldn't even become a lower god, how could one become a middle god? It was as simple as that. And now, exploring the god's tomb was an opportunity. Some god rank experts would leave their divine bodies behind when they died. This was still possible. Hence, many people wanted to explore the god's tomb. If one was lucky, they could obtain a godhead. Bai Heiyuan's words were indeed different. It seemed like he was certain that the other party had a godhead. Sword Saint 33 and Gu Yin's hearts sank again. Although a godhead was very important, one had to have the opportunity to refine it. Refining a godhead would take at least 100 years. At the very least, it would take 40 to 50 years. Hence, even if one obtained a godhead, there was no chance. Qiao Zifei sneered. Did you hear what Elder Bai said? Hurry up and hand over the divine spark. That way, you'll be able to suffer less. Even the Invincible Alliance was tempted by a godhead. That was because godheads were just too hard to find. Even if you ransacked dozens of gods' tombs, you might not be able to find a godhead. There are dozens of gods' tombs for you to find. It was such a simple thing, but it might not be possible to do it at any time, because there were too few tombs of the god of sin, and they were too difficult to find. Even when you had just found one, you would be killed by the means inside the tombs. This kind of situation could be said to be everywhere. Therefore, the appearance of a god's tomb was indeed very attractive. Once they found it, they would secretly excavate it, or he could use a formation to seal it and then slowly break it. If 1 year wasn't enough, then he would use 10 years. Sooner or later, he would be able to break through this god's tomb. If he was lucky enough to obtain a godhood, he would be able to reach the heavens in a single bound. Situations like this were quite common. In the past 1,000 years, there were a few lucky fellows who became lower deities and directly went to the second level. But now, such a powerful god's tomb had actually been broken through, and it was very likely that the things were taken away by this fellow. Qiao Zifei realized that this was a credit. Of course, it was absolutely impossible for him to make a move. But this time, with Bai Heiyuan here, he would definitely be able to take care of this fellow. If he didn't hand over the godhood and the things he obtained here, he could forget about leaving this place. Lin Fei also laughed. This, Bai Heiyuan, was probably bluffing him. If it was something else, then it would be fine. However, he still couldn't say anything about the godhood. After all, a godhood could cause a bloodbath. At the very least, the experts on this side of Jiangnan would move upon hearing the news. The top experts on this level, as well as some old monsters, would be tempted. After all, this was an opportunity to break through to lower deity. The appearance of a godhood was really too difficult. Just now, Lin Fei already understood that it was really a miracle that such a godhood had come. No wonder at the last level, the shadow had stayed behind to be the last. Otherwise, he could forget about obtaining such a godhood. This was something that Lin Fei had some experience with. No matter what, it was impossible for Lin Fei to admit it. He couldn't help but laugh out loud. Do you think I'm the lucky one? I can obtain a godhood just by coming to a god's tomb. You think too highly of me. Moreover, is this the attitude of your Invincible Alliance? If you really think that I'm so easy to bully, then go ahead and try. Don't suffer when the time comes. Now that Lin Fei's physical body had reached the 90th level, it was really abnormally terrifying. Although this fellow in front of him had a strong aura, he didn't think that it was anything special. He could test out the strength of his physical body. Bai Heiyuan's expression instantly became unhappy. This fellow was locked in place by his treasure, yet he still dared to speak so arrogantly. If it was an ordinary person, I would believe it. However, I have cultivated a mystique. With this mystique, I can be sure of one thing, Bai Heiyuan said coldly. Therefore, I think that you have a godhood on you. In that case, you have a godhood. No matter how you try to deny it, it's useless. Swoosh! That pearl-like treasure released a terrifying force and directly suppressed them. Sword Saint 33 and Gu Yan couldn't take it at the first moment. All of their treasures couldn't take it either. They started to bleed. You have the cheek to use such a method. Just as the two of them felt that they couldn't take it anymore. Suddenly, the pressure on them decreased, and the surroundings actually turned into a vacuum. The crushing force clashed with another force, but it didn't give them any pressure at all. They also looked at Lin Fei. They didn't expect him to be so strong, to be able to withstand the pressure of this treasure with just one move. Even if they were injured, they wouldn't be able to take it. Even if they weren't injured, it would be the same. The pressure from above was getting stronger and stronger, one layer after another. It was like a huge mountain. Even Bai Heiyuan's expression changed slightly. This fellow was actually so strong. He didn't even use any tricks and was actually able to withstand it. Indeed, you have some ability. I wonder how many times you can withstand it. At this moment, the pressure from the treasure became even more ferocious, reaching its limit in a single breath. Chapter 4934. Bai Heiyuan's technique was indeed very powerful. Once this treasure was activated, its power would come crashing down layer by layer. Layers of ripples also appeared in the void. Sword Saint 33 and Guyan could be considered to be the most affected. This was because the power of this treasure was really too strong. It kept seeping over, and they started to break out in cold sweat for Taoist Lin. If this went on, they would be directly suppressed by the treasure before they could even make a move. This was where the power of a treasure lay. They could even clearly see that this was an upper-grade invincible weapon, which was also an invincible treasure. Only in this way could it explode with such great power. Wave after wave of power came crashing down like lightning snakes, constantly swimming around and circling around them. But even so, the lightning snakes were unable to get close to Lin Fei. Within a radius of tens of feet, once they got close, they would instantly collapse. Dozens, hundreds, and thousands of lightning snakes. Not a single one could successfully rush in. Without exception, they were all blocked outside. If that's all you've got, then you've come here in vain. If you don't have any more tricks up your sleeve, then I'm going to make a move. Once I make a move, you won't have a chance anymore. I'm still a good person. I'll inform you in advance. Otherwise, you won't even know how you lost. Lin Fei was still calm. The power of this treasure was indeed very strong. Even an existence at the peak of the invincible war god might not be able to withstand it easily. This was a treasure that specialized in breaking the physical body. Even if one used strength to withstand it, 70 to 80% of one's strength would be suppressed. How could one use the remaining strength to fight against the opponent? With a whoosh, Bai Heiyuan instantly rushed in. His entire body kept moving, leaving afterimages everywhere. There was no trace of him at all. Sword Saint 33 exclaimed in astonishment. Be careful, this is the 3000 lightning movement, the most powerful speed-type movement skill. Once it is used, you will not be able to catch the real body. Sword Saint 33 was quite knowledgeable and recognized it at a glance. Therefore, he warned Lin Fei. He was afraid that Taoist Lin would suffer a loss. After all, Bai Heiyuan was not so easy to deal with. Whoosh! A figure appeared in an instant. A bolt of lightning struck down. It turned out that at this instant, Bai Heiyuan had released a powerful killer move. It was as if a long dragon was roaring angrily as it coiled up. Its 4 claws reached out, and the void collapsed on the spot. This move was extremely terrifying. No wonder Bai Heiyuan was valued by the Invincible Alliance. Even Qiao Zifei had to follow him seriously. This kind of strength was indeed not something an ordinary powerhouse could resist. At this time, Lin Fei smiled faintly and stretched out his hand. This hand was very ordinary, but it was this hand that was like a mountain. In an instant, it grabbed the thunder snake's body. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts surged out of the thunder serpent and bombarded him. These lightning bolts spread along his arm, but halfway up they were turned to ashes. Following that, Lin Fei's hand exploded. The lightning snake exploded into pieces with a loud, rumbling sound. That's all? I can't even take it out. Lin Fei slapped out with his palm. This slap caused the massive void to collapse instantly. Be it Bai Heiyuan or Qiao Zifei, both of them felt a force slamming into their bodies. Swoosh! A large piece of the void turned into a black hole. All of them were turned to ashes as well. I told you to use your full strength. Unfortunately, you didn't listen. Who can you blame? Lin Fei had only used a weak technique. However, such a weak technique easily turned Bai Heiyuan, who was at the peak of the 2-star invincible war god realm, into ashes. He didn't even have the chance to cry out in surprise before he was gone. Sword Saint 33 and Gu Yin, who were standing behind, held their breaths. They were unable to utter a single word. That was a peak 2-star invincible war god expert. He couldn't even withstand a single palm like this and was instantly destroyed. Just how strong was fellow Taoist Lin? Could it be that he was a top-notch lower deity? Logically speaking, that was impossible. If that wasn't the case, then his foundation was really unbelievably strong. Indeed, they were frightened. A peak 2-star invincible war god was killed just like that. He didn't even have the chance to make a sound. They were even more thankful that they were able to follow Lin Fei this time. Otherwise, they would have suffered a huge loss. They even suspected that Lin Fei had obtained a god spark here. Very quickly, they suppressed the thoughts in their hearts. There was no such thing as a god spark here. There was none. It was all by He Yuan's nonsense. They had never heard of a god spark, nor did they know about it. There was no need to offend such a powerful existence for a god spark. Thank you, Dao friend Lin, for helping us. Otherwise, the two of us would be dead. The Invincible Alliance is too much. How dare they spout nonsense? Sword Saint 33 immediately said. Gu Yun did the same. The two of them's attitude towards Lin Mu had already completely changed. He was someone they couldn't afford to offend. In the Fengyan Tower, perhaps only those old monsters could compare to his strength. Otherwise, no one else would be a match for him. Even the Tower Master was the same. He really hid his strength well. We are all part of Fengyan Tower. You are being too polite. Killing a peak 2-star invincible war god from Invincible Sect was nothing to Lin Fei. It also gave him a better understanding of his physical strength. This kind of person was indeed much weaker. There are a few things here. Split them between the two of you. We can't come here for nothing. Don't you think so? He took out a few more treasures. As soon as these treasures were taken out, Sword Saint 33 and Gu Yun were scared out of their wits. These were all top-notch treasures, which further confirmed one thing. All the treasures in the god's tomb had been taken. How would the two of them dare to take these treasures? They didn't do anything, but they couldn't resist Lin Fei's words. They chose the treasures. They felt even more grateful in their hearts. Fellow Taoist Lin, you killed that by He Yuan just now. I'm afraid that the Invincible Alliance is even more scheming now. You have to be careful. The Invincible Alliance is capable of anything. Among the 4 top factions, they are the most shameless. They can do anything. If things go south, they might even hire experts from the Assassins' League to assassinate you. Sword Saint 33 felt that he had to remind Lin Mu. After all, it wasn't just 1 or 2 people who had suffered losses. Therefore, when the Invincible Alliance was mentioned, even experts like them were afraid. No matter how many they come, I will kill them all. It's just that simple.